I-24, we've got two problems in Rutherford County, both of them eastbound I-24. The first one is an injury crash blocking the left two lanes at Old Hickory Boulevard. Then a crash blocking the right two lanes, I-24 eastbound before Waldron Road. Here in Nashville, we got a crash blocking the left lane, 65 northbound before Rosa Parks Boulevard. Looks like we have still one lane blocked. It'll be the left lane, the 40 westbound off-ramp to go westbound on the South Loop downtown. This is from an earlier tractor-trailer crash. Injury crash reported by police, 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike. And then police reporting one on the South Loop, 40 eastbound approaching 4th Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
What up, kids? How are you? Good afternoon. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. I am Matt Murphy. Thank you for being with us on this Friday, July 11 edition. It is, of course, 2025. You probably know that by now. You're smart people. It is episode 840. You might not have known that. 840 visits between you and myself, starting in the noon to 3 slot and eventually drifting over after the retirement of one Brian Wilson to the 3 to 7 slot. Always good to have you with us. Always good to be a part of your day. Thank you so much. I cannot do this enough. We might agree. We might disagree. We might fuss and fight. We're one big happy family. Thank you so much for the time that you give us on a day-to-day basis. We certainly appreciate it. And in return, we will attempt to entertain you first and foremost. My primary goal, my primary job. You know, I heard the great Neil Bort say this one time from over in Atlanta, Georgia, and it stuck with me since I heard him say it. My primary job every single day. You know what my primary job? Let me see if Jackson has learned this lesson. Jackson Williams is behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. I'll get to Ken Weaver in a minute. Hey, Jackson.
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Do you know what our primary job is?
To opinionate.
That is incorrect.
Am I close?
No, you're not really close. To opinion, I don't even think it's a word. I don't think it's a word that you could find in your Funkin' Wagnalls.
It is now. Way to go, Brother Jackson.
Funkin' Wagnalls, Jackson, I can tell by your look. Funkin' Wagnalls is a dictionary.
Use that one.
It is a brand of dictionary.
Let's go ahead.
Everybody put your hands together. I can't put my hands together because one of my hands doesn't work. Everybody put your hands together. Can we do you have anything on the wall, like a little celebration music, like actually celebrate? I know that I'm throwing this at you kind of on the fly there, Jackson, which is why I feel bad about it, so I'm going to talk until maybe you grab something for me. But I feel so good about the fact that Kenneth Weaver is back in the house. Woo!
I feel good about it too, boys. I don't like working from home. It's not fun.
I mean, you could have given me a trumpet, like a dom-ba-ba-bom.
I don't have anything.
Have you not explored the wall? See, I blame you.
No, I've explored the wall, but knowing what things are going to do whenever I hit them, that's a different,
Okay, enough of your failures. Let's talk about Ken Weaver.
Brother,
I love you. I love you. You quick to give yourself a soundbite. You're quick on the womp, womp, womp soundbite.
Yeah, that one.
When I smack you down.
That was really good.
I kid because I love. Why is this talking about AI? Anyway, Ken, good to have you back in the house, my friend.
It's good to be back, boys. Missed you guys yesterday.
Well, that's probably mainly because of the heat.
Yeah. It got up to 90 degrees in the house.
Yeah.
By the time they cranked up and started testing this new part for the air conditioner, and we were very pleased. At right around 6:15, the fellow left right around 6:15, And everything was working good.
And so by this morning, I would expect that you were blowing some cool air.
This morning we were 74 degrees.
That's not. That's better than 90.
Yeah. It's a lot better.
What do you keep it on?
We keep upstairs at night 71.
Mm-hmm.
Downstairs we pretty much keep it 74.
Jackson, where are you on the conditioning of the air?
I am anywhere from 69 to 72.
Mm-hmm. Isn't official room temperature is 68? Is that right?
I think.
Or 72.
Well, they want you to be 78.
Well, screw them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
that's awful.
Whatever. Yeah, they want more of my money too.
72 sounds like a nice round number, for a room temperature.
I always miss this because I've had this conversation before, and I always think it's 72, but then people disabuse me of that notion, says whatever, one way or the other. We have flipped in the household, in the Murphy household.
Oh yeah.
There was a time where I wanted it cooler, and he wanted it hotter, and now we have flipped, and now I get cold at night and have to bundle up. And my own words get used against me, Weaver, because 10 years ago I was like, you can put on a sweater,
Yeah.
You can wrap yourself in a blanket, I'm hot.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting the same thing thrown back at me.
Uh-huh.
And you know what I do, Ken?
Well,
I go get a sweater or a blanket.
You say yes.
I say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I shut my mouth.
Murphy, I think I found the perfect song to welcome Ken back.
Let's go.
No, sir.
That's actually not bad. That's pretty awful. So
I still love you, though, Brother Jackson.
You know what? One of the reasons that I hate Tennessee Volunteer, the football team, so much is because they ruined a perfectly good song. Because I like that song.
It's a great song.
It's a great song, and they damn ruin it over there at Neyland Stadium.
You have not experienced having a couple of adult beverages and singing it at the top of your lungs after a Tennessee touchdown with some of your buddies.
Here's the great thing. I've been to Neyland Stadium once, a couple of years ago, to go watch my Georgia Bulldogs, and we barely heard it. I think we heard it once.
Coming back this year.
I am, and I'll be there.
We got a little unfinished business there in Knoxville this fall, too.
That's right. I'll be y'all come see me. I'll be the guy in the hat. Y'all just come see me and say hello.
Guy in the hat.
Yeah, I'll be the guy in the hat.
If Tennessee beats Georgia, I might be an nincompoop in the news.
I'm just hoping, you know what I'm sincerely hoping, because I'm not taking anything for granted for football season. I am hoping.
Me either after last season.
I know. I mean, but y'all are going to be much better, Ken. Much better. That's what everybody says.
We'll see.
I'm just hoping that your young quarterback, Jackson, does not get his legs underneath him by the third week of the season. That's all I want.
Right. Yeah.
Get him early.
He's a brand new quarterback, right?
Oh, yeah. Brand new. Fresh as a baby. Yeah. Smooth as a baby's bottom.
Yeah, because Nico decided to take a pay cut and go to UCLA.
Can you believe that Kid, you and I have known each other about 4 years, right? Yep. Almost 4. It'll be 4 years this December.
Yeah.
And in that length of time, we've gone from saying, hey, did you hear that kid got him an NIL deal at the chicken place? We went from there, right? Oh, yeah, no. He gets to drive himself a Ford F-150 around. He's got a local Ford dealership sponsor. Oh, isn't that nice? From there to, Nico left because he wouldn't give him $2.5 million.
More dollars.
Oh, sorry, more dollars
a year.
Oh, Carson Beck, he just wanted a cool $4 million on top of the Lambo.
Yeah.
Good gracious. But I'm just hoping we catch that. What's that young quarterback's name there, Jackson?
Yeah, what is it?
Joey Aguilar.
Is that did he play last year or is he new?
He played at App State, and then he went to UCLA. Then Nico transferred there, and he transferred to Tennessee. We did a little bit of a trade with UCLA.
Okay, so he has not played on the Division I level.
App State is D1.
Okay.
They could make the college football playoff.
Appalachian State, yeah.
Oh, well, pardon me. I apologize to all of you App State fans, the huge contingent of App State fans in the listening audience. I sincerely apologize. I thought you were still what used to be called D2. I don't even know what it's called anymore.
They're in the new college football game.
Well, they were D2 when they beat Michigan, right? Remember, wasn't that Michigan?
I think they were D1 like AA.
Yeah.
Like FCS.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what So one way or the other, he has not competed in a major conference.
I thought you boys got like a 5-star star freshman.
He is coming in next year.
Okay.
This is kind of a bridge quarterback situation.
Oh, yeah.
So we feel like Aguilar's going to need a few weeks to get his sea legs underneath him. You think?
I think he'll be ready by about the time Georgia rolls into Neyland Stadium, if that's what you're asking.
I mean, he's at home. That's a good thing for y'all. Enough football talk. Let's talk about
Yeah, we better give it.
We could do this all day, boys.
Yes, sir.
No, that's what they're doing across the hall. They will get in trouble.
That's right.
News suit will be in here yelling at us. So I'm glad to have Ken Weaver back. I just want to finish the thought, and I'm glad the AC is okay. No, there's nothing wrong with Ken. It was just his AC went out, and man, it's summertime. It's hot out there, and you got to do what you got to do. So I had a thought earlier today as I was preparing the show, and I expressed my opinion on my social media platform of my choosing, which is the X machine. You'll see me post on Facebook. You'll see me post on Instagram. But for the most part, if I'm discussing or dealing with political matters, I'm doing so on the X machine, and I invite you to follow me on the X machine at Matt Murphy Show. That's at Matt Murphy Show. Give me a follow. Tell your friends or neighbors about us. I hope that we entertain you over there as well. But it gets pretty heated on the X machine. As I've mentioned in the past, it's a cesspool full of awful people spewing awful nonsense about awful things. It's gross. It's untidy. People do not act in normal life like they are willing to act on the X machine, and I probably would include myself in that number. And I love it. And I'm over there just wallowing in the whole bit. All that to say this. You will find no greater supporter of our police officers and our first responders and the men and women that choose to wear the uniform than me, yours truly, Matt Murphy. That does not mean that they are always right. Police officers, firefighters, obviously, in any group dynamic, you can find exceptions that prove the rule, as the saying goes. And we find those exceptions that prove the rule all the time in our police forces and in our fire departments and in other places where people wear the uniform. And they help the American people, the people of the state of Tennessee or your local community to protect and to serve. We empower them to do just that. That power that is held by those that wear the uniform is very important. And it creates a dynamic by which those that wear the uniform are held to a different and higher standard in a lot of situations and in a lot of cases. We see more than ever the attitude, the anti-authority attitude that is demonstrated toward our police officers, toward our federal officials. And yes, nowadays we're talking a lot about that attitude that's been exhibited toward ICE agents. And I am saddened that there are households that bring their children up with the idea or the understanding that the police are the bad guys. The police are not the bad guys. They're the good guys. And that goes to my point. That while I support our police departments, there ought to be and is robust oversight over those departments. Secondarily, we, the people, control the dynamic, meaning we, the people, empower the police, not the other way around. The police work on civilized society's authority. Police departments around these municipalities and around the states and around the country, they operate based on the civil authority that they are given by the governed to enforce the rule of law. There is no requirement federally, none, that a police officer identify themselves. Did y'all know that? But they do. There are some state requirements across the country, and there are some local municipality requirements across the country. But from a federal standpoint, there is no requirement that a police officer identify themselves. There's no requirement that a police officer offer you an identification number of sorts. We often refer to that as a badge number. I want your name and badge number. Nowadays, in 2025, people think they are owed that information. You're not, but more often than not, you are given it. because it fosters not only goodwill within the community, but it also identifies to the individual that is being detained, to the individual that is being questioned, to the individual that I am happy to give you the authority by which I am granted the ability to detain you, to arrest you, to question you, and otherwise. All of that to say, I fully support ICE. I fully support Donald Trump and his administration in their efforts to deport those that are unlawfully here. I fully support Tom Homan. I absolutely love what this man is doing. I love what Kristi Noem is doing. Dog training notwithstanding. I believe in the rule of law. I fully support the prosecution of any person doxing or otherwise endangering any member of law enforcement. Throw the book at them. That said, we need to have a discussion about these masks, because I believe it's a bad look. And I'm not quite certain what purpose they serve. Let me put it to you this way. It is a much easier premise by which we excuse or agree with the use of masks in some of the situations that we're seeing them used in. But I'm seeing on the federal level more and more departments using full face coverings to shield the identities of the officers that are involved in facilitating a raid or an arrest. Now, obviously, if you're talking SWAT, if you're talking about an ICE raid of a large scale, I understand why you would use certain shielding techniques in those environments. But as a general rule, I'm a civil libertarian, and I don't like the idea of police officers masking themselves broadly. Because I believe in my civil liberties. I believe in our liberty to, at very least, question the ability of an authority figure to do what they're doing. I mean, there's a fine line there, but let's put it this way, and I'm going to open it up for telephone calls, and I expect that I'll get roasted on this position, but I think that those things should be used only when absolutely necessary and only justified in individual circumstances. It should not become standard operating procedure that men and women in uniform operate on a daily basis with masks on. That is my position. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. I'd love to hear from you on it. Once again, I know that what I'll be accused of, because I know some people want to hear only what they want to hear, and some people aren't listening half the time anyway. I fully support Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I fully support border control. I fully support, in some of these raids, the necessity for Immigration and Customs Enforcement to shield themselves and to shield their faces. What I do not want to see is for this to become standard operating procedure on the federal level and then trickle down to state and local municipalities, because the justification is exactly the same. Now, if anybody doxes these people, they need to get thrown under the jail. If anybody doxes a police officer and endangers a police officer, we need to throw the book at those people. But you don't do something preemptively based on what might happen down the road and erode civil liberties as a result. And I'll finish the monologue by asking you this question, and we'll go to break. How would you, just ask yourself honestly, how you would feel if you got pulled over tonight at 8 o'clock at night, flashing lights, and the officer that walked up to you, to your window, had a full mask on, you couldn't see their badge, they had a police uniform on, and they wanted your license, and they wanted your identification, they wanted your registration or your insurance. How would you feel about that? 615-737-9986, 25 after the hour. The Men of Valor organization is a wonderful one, and I fully support that they work the work that they do in Tennessee prisons. Absolutely love these guys at Men of Valor. Men of Valor go into our prison systems. They sit down and they offer Bible study to men in crisis. They offer an opportunity to turn takers into givers in our community, and it's wonderful work that they do, and they depend on you. I beg of you to volunteer or give as you can to the Men of Valor ministry by going to movministry.com. That's movministry.com. And I want you to save this date, Wednesday, October 1st. At 5:30 in the evening at Liberty Hall at the Factory in Franklin, a wonderful event, a second annual Men of Valor Gala. Join them for an elegant evening of dinner, live music, participation, and live and silent auctions available. If you're interested in sponsoring the event or becoming a sponsor of the event, a registration is not quite open yet, but you can email Alex at movministry.com. But just save this date, October 1st. More information on the way from our friends at Men of Valor. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Stoltz Co. Have you gone to the website yet? STOLTZCO.com. StoltzCo.com. Man, you'll see the difference, right? I mean, it's difficult for me to describe the quality of the structure that they build at Stoltz Co. But people in Middle Tennessee have learned, they know. If you've worked with Stoltz Co., you most certainly do. They are the #1 company in Middle Tennessee for post-frame buildings, such as pole barns, garages, equestrian spaces, event spaces, and, of course, the ever-popular barn dominiums. If you're looking for someplace to hang out on the weekend, you know, a man cave or a she shed, a future home to retire in, or maybe a place where your in-laws can come and visit or permanently stay on your property. It's all about the quality of that structure, and it improves the value of your property. Stoltz Co. Call 615-622-5992. That's 615-622-5992, or visit them online at stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO.com.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. We're following breaking news out of Pennsylvania, experiencing intermittent 911 outages statewide. President Trump and the First Lady are in Texas to see the flood damage firsthand and meet with first responders, families mourning the loss of their loved ones, including those little girls at Camp Mystic.
They were there because they loved God, and as we grieve this unthinkable tragedy, we take comfort in the knowledge that God has welcomed those little, beautiful girls into his comforting arms in heaven. And we believe that, have to believe that, and we do.
At least 121 people have died as first responders continue to try to search the rubble for more victims. State Department sending formal notices of layoffs to more than 1,000 employees. Here's Stephen Portnoy to tell us which employees are affected.
The notices are going out to 1,100 civil service employees and more than 240 foreign service officers with assignments in the U.S. The State Department says in all 3,000 people will either lose their jobs or depart voluntarily. The senior official says the plan is to focus on policy priorities and to eliminate redundant functions. The group that represents foreign service officers says the reduction in force sends a message to allies and adversaries that the U.S. is pulling back from the world stage.
A heads up this weekend, the Korean Veterans Bridge is going to be down to 2 lanes both directions tomorrow in preparation for full closure on Sunday. This is so the new 911 Nashville TV show can film an upcoming scene. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we still have 2 lanes blocked, 40 westbound to go westbound on the South Loop downtown. That's from that earlier tractor-trailer crash cleanup. Then in Rutherford County, we've got a crash blocking the right 2 lanes at 24 eastbound before Waldron Road. Over by the airport, 40 westbound at Briley Parkway East. Police reporting a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, friends, Matt Murphy here for U.S. Pest. We can agree on this. Bugs are nasty, and we don't want them around us, around our families, around our kids, around our pets, right? Right. And if you have bugs in your yard, they'll eventually get in your house, whether it's fleas, ticks, some other invasive bug species, or even rodents, mice and rats and whatnot. Look, you need U.S. Pest in your life. They eradicate the enemy, and the enemy, commie bugs. That's right. U.S. Pest, J.K. Brister, Erica Brister, and the rest of the U.S. Pest team, they love the United States of America, and they hate bugs. They'll offer you full-service pest control, termite protection, and crawl space service available for you better than anyone else in the business today. And I stake my reputation on it, and they stake theirs. USPest.com. That's USPest.com or 590-1260, 590-1260. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to U.S. Pest. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Dr. Brian McLaughlin and the Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I've mentioned 2 locations. One is in Murfreesboro and the other in Brentwood. They're there for you around where you are. So when you need them, give them a call. right? You probably need them and you don't even know it. Are you sleeping well at night? Do you stop breathing while you sleep? Do you snore a lot? Do you have sleep apnea? If you don't know the answer to all of these questions, call Dr. Brian McLaughlin. Allow him to get you in line with a sleep test, and let's find out if you are a candidate for an FDA-approved oral device, fits in your mouth, and you don't even notice that it's there after a night or two. You sleep better. You breathe through the night. You wake up more refreshed. It is a win-win-win-win-win-win because your spouse, they don't have to listen to you snoring all night. They are covered by insurance as well. Go to TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com. Tell Dr. Brian that I sent you to the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I understand that it's a charged conversation. I express my opinion that while I'm fully supportive of ICE, I'm fully supportive of the activities that they're going into with regard to deportations. They're also dealing with people that they don't know if they're dealing with American citizens, non-citizens, legal residents, illegal aliens. When they entertain some of these individuals at these various places. And for that reason, I'm just a little concerned about how our civil liberties potentially are being eroded. You know, it's a basic concept in the law that you get to face your accuser, right? If you're in a court of law, you get to face your accuser. You are allowed to face that person which is accusing you of a criminal activity, of some sort of criminal activity. Well, the first point of entry into that process is the officer that has accused you of doing something wrong, speeding or whatever it might be. Now, it is fair for those of you that are criticizing me saying, Murphy, you don't understand, they're being doxxed. I understand that. I do understand that individuals are doxing them. I do understand that those individuals need to have the book thrown at them. But we don't erode, in the United States of America, we don't erode civil liberties on the front end because of the possibility of what might happen on the back end. We just don't. I could give you any number of examples as to how we don't. We don't prevent people from having glasses of wine or glasses of beer or shots of liquor at our local watering holes because people get into their automobiles drunk as Cooter Brown and kill other people. Why not? Because my civil liberties should not be eroded based on how others might abuse the system and put other people in danger. But I get it. I get it. I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people on the super text line are saying, you know, until immigration isn't an issue where people come against them violently because of the controversy, they should be masking to protect them from retaliation, which is obviously happening. Here's what I've not seen. I would like to see more specific reporting on whatever. I understand that there have been efforts to dox. I've not seen specific examples. But I, once again, would agree with you. My main concern is where we are going with this. It should be an exception and not the rule. That officers acting in their official capacity are at least facially identifiable. I don't want stormtroopers. And 4872, the officer is the accuser. Most certainly so. I mean, if you think about it, I'm not trying to pick nits here, but if a police officer pulls me over and he asks for my identification and I say, what seems to be the problem, officer? And he says, you were going 84 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone. He is accusing me of violating the law. He most certainly is. Well, 4872, I would respond this way. If you're not breaking the law, you most likely won't have to even worry about it. Well, what happens if, I've had this conversation over the years. So let's say you get a knock on your door late at night and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you go and the police say, hey, we're here and we have credible evidence that a guy that's been burglarizing in the neighborhood is in one of these houses in your neighborhood and we want to search your house right now. Do you have to let those police officers in? Of course you don't, nor should you. Now, some might, but what if the police say, no, we're going to search your house regardless of whether you want us to or not? Well, Good Samaritanship does not include an erosion of your constitutional rights in the process. So once again, I'm not as concerned about where we see this happening now. I'm concerned about this becoming the standard on the federal level. And frankly, I just think it's a bad look. Police officers have an inherently dangerous job. Those that would threaten them need to have the book thrown at them. And you can do all of those things without making it SOP. I want to hear from you. Let's see. Kimberly was first up. Hey, Kimberly, how are you?
Hey, Matt. I'm doing great. I'm so glad that you're on the mend.
Thank you very much. Getting better every day.
Great. And I also wanted to say thank you for the support that you give for our law enforcement officers and all of our first responders. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
When I heard you talking about the safety issue, that's the main concern for me, because it's not only the officers that pay that price for doing their job, it's also their families. So I don't know if you have children or not, but how would you feel if you were a police officer, arrested someone, and then 2 weeks later your daughter gets off the school bus and that person is waiting for her when she gets off the bus?
It'd be horrific.
Yes. So those are the concerns that I have. It's not just the officers, it's their families too. So those are the concerns that I have, and we don't live in a world like we did 25 years ago. People will go, they're very smart, they're evil, they will find you, and they will make you pay a price. So that's the concern that I have.
Kimberly, quick question. Do you believe all police officers should wear masks?
I think it depends on their job duties.
Well, in the example that you just described, you just said a police officer arrests someone, and then that person a week later is sitting at the bus stop, and that would be horrific, and obviously that would be an arrestable offense for threatening and intimidating the family of that police officer. But, I mean, I understand that police officers have dangerous jobs, more dangerous than ever, but it's just a question. Just a question as to how far we're willing to go to shield the identity of these officers in a society that believes in transparency and openness.
Yeah, I get it.
It's tricky.
I understand where you're coming from, but, I do, like I said, we don't live in 1970.
Oh, you're right.
Different.
It's sad but true, and a sad testimony. Thank you, Kimberly, for the call. A sad testimony to all of this is that a lot of the people that are willing to dox the police, you talk about, and many of you have commented, it's a little bit different when you're dealing with individuals that came here illegally because they don't have the same constitutional rights as American citizens, and that's true. They still have some rights, but they are limited in their scope. Well, sadly, most of the people that I see in Portland, Seattle, California, a lot of these people that are doxing police, they are American citizens, as sad as that is to say. Look, I don't think there's a cut and dry answer here, which is why I think it's a good conversation for us to have. Frankly, I maintain that it's a bad look. My civil liberties dictate that I should know the identity and the validity of the arresting officer. Of course, I'm an American citizen too, and I'm not out and about trying to dox these people either. Let's talk to Roger. Oh, wait, hold on, Roger. Let me get to you. Well, no, my phone's not working here. Uh-oh. Right. Well, let's see if it works with Michelle. No, it doesn't work there either. Jackson, you're going to have to help me out with line 3 if you can.
The phone is rebooting. We can't take any calls at the moment.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate considering the number that we have. Jay and Tom and Michelle and Roger and whoever's on line 2 and Scott, y'all hang in there on the super text line. Those who give up liberty for temporary security shall receive neither and deserve nothing. Well, I mean, that's the you got it, 1461. That's the idea. That's the balance that we expect in the United States of America. You know, one of the most secure nations on earth is North Korea. I mean, those folks, they don't have to worry about anything. They don't have any electricity. They don't have to worry about air conditioning over there, Weaver. You know why? Because they don't have any air conditioning because they don't have any electricity to run it. So, I mean, you can be secure and have zero liberty. I have no idea what we're doing. Oh, I think Michelle's on the line if my phone's any indication. Hey, Michelle.
Hi. So I just heard what you said about values and about transparency, and that is the absolute base and fundamentals of our country, which is greater than I care about the other countries too, but by far the United States has the strongest fundamentals and values when that comes to the very base of it. And I'm a trucker. I see law enforcement all the time, and so my thing is that is if they pull me over and they have got a mask over their face, I'm thinking burglarizer. I'm thinking that they're about to burglarize my truck. I mean, it's really their stance of, I'm a vet too, and it's really their stance. If they're going to wear a mask over their face, but they are asking me for my driver's license, which is my identification, then I think they should be on the same level as the same position, the same stance. I get to see your face, you get to see my face, kind of those fundamentals, which is, our country has the strongest and the best fundamentals of values, and we should come back to pro-voice values. I
think you combat this. I think you better combat. And Michelle, thank you so much for the telephone call and the opinion. I want to get to as many as I can. Frijay coming up in about 20 minutes or so. I think you combat the efforts on the part of the few to dox and out police officers and those doing their job with Immigration and Customs Enforcement or border security by strengthening the punishment of those people and by using those people as examples to others, that we don't do that in our society. We don't empower individuals through law enforcement to do the will of society and to enforce the rule of law and then vilify those people to the point that there are people going after them, and anybody that is willing to do that gets thrown under the jail. So you attack the law breaking as opposed to changing the system to the point that it potentially could violate the civil liberties of others. Now, while it is limited to ICE raids, while it is limited to, obviously, mask wearing in a SWAT environment is expected. A mask detail in an undercover environment is to be expected. But traditionally, while there is no federal law there, and I don't know, I'm not aware of a Tennessee law that requires an officer to identify themselves by name or an officer to identify themselves by badge number, but we do that. Why do we do that? Because we, the people, empower the officers, not the other way around, and we expect a level of openness and transparency as they do their duty. The circumstances are different. I am worried a little bit about what I would call mission creep with regard to that and the federal agents, and I'm more worried about the slippery slope that potentially exists beyond that. Let us see. I don't know who's been holding the longest now. Let's try Tom. Tom is up next. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Matt. Glad to have you back.
Thank you, brother.
I would say that sounds like maybe I mostly agree with you. I come from a family of many police officers, actually, in my family. On a day-to-day situation, no, I don't. Because if it's a one or two officers stopping somebody for speeding, I think the face is part of the stop. You can see expressions, you get to know what's going on. I think it has to be that way on a day-to-day or any daily interaction with police. As far as the raids, I kind of believe maybe the masks are important right now. If we could ever get to this situation where they actually would arrest the people doing the doxing or punish the people, maybe the mask would go away some. But at this point, because of the amount of people that they're going after and so many people that are filming and watching and trying to identify these guys, I think the masks are kind of important on the big raids. But day to day, no, absolutely not.
I appreciate the comment, and I appreciate where you're at on the call, Tom. Thank you so much for making it. 51 after the hour. More coming up in just a moment. Next hour, Frijay. Get your legal questions in on the super text line, 615-737-9986. You can also get them in on the phone lines once that 4 o'clock hour rolls around. Oh, don't forget, in the 5 o'clock hour this afternoon, a rare guest on a Friday as we welcome Senator Bill Hagerty to the program at 5:05 this afternoon. Senator Hagerty, it's been feels like a month of Sundays since we've talked with him. Looking forward to that conversation. It's all upcoming on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hi, friends. It's Matt Murphy talking to you about the Tennessee Men's Clinic. So, gentlemen, if you've noticed a degradation in your energy level, maybe you've noticed that you've just lost a step or two. Perhaps it's at the gym or doing yard work, or perhaps it's in the bedroom. These can all be identifiable results and symptoms of testosterone loss. Your testosterone levels go down over time as you age, gentlemen, but there is no reason why it has to be that way. You can get back to life again. You can get back to those energy levels you once enjoyed with a visit to Evan Bass and the Tennessee Men's Clinic. 2 locations to serve you. One is in Cool Springs, the other in Midtown. The OG location, been there since 2014. And for that length of time, they've helped thousands of men just like you get back to life again, get back to intimacy again. You don't have to live like this, men. Make the call and make the discreet appointment to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or call 615-208-9090, 208-9090. Hello, folks. Matt Murphy here. Have you noticed the stink with auto repair? I'm talking about the pricing. I'm talking about the diagnosis. I'm talking about the smell that you smell when you walk into the dadgum waiting room. I mean, friends, the greasy old rags lying around. I mean, the stinky. If they treat you that way in the waiting room, how are they treating you and your car in the back room? You know what doesn't stink? Eurofix. Aaron Stokes and Eurofix, they take the stink out of European auto repair every visit. You get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection, never a high-pressure sales tactic, I should say. At Eurofix, you get 3 years of nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every appointment. Never pay dealer prices again. Go to Eurofix. Eurofix is in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. For 26 years, they've been a trusted name in European auto repair, and it's time that you took your car to Eurofix. Go online to myeurofix.com or 844-EUROFIX.
Swarming insects and how it might cause some hazardous conditions for drivers right here in Middle Tennessee. This story and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Swarming insects. Sounds awful. All right, so we'll continue the conversation and get to a few more telephone calls. Frijay is on the way. If you have a legal question of any sort, get them in here, 615-737-9986. You can call starting in the 4 o'clock hour, or you can hit us up on the Super Text line. By the way, I would note that if officers should be allowed more broadly to wear masks in the exercise of their duty for fear of being doxxed on the other side, are we... For those of you that are in support of that, would you support prosecutors being able to? Should Glenn Funk be able to wear a mask when he prosecutes cases in Nashville? Should other prosecutors be able to wear masks in the courtroom to shield their identities? Well, of course not. We don't do that. Am I being silly? I don't think so. I think it's the same standard. Also, arresting officers are not going to wear masks at trial. I mean, in very, very limited circumstances where those officers perhaps have been or are undercover officers, they're allowed to shield their identities. But otherwise, they're not. And that is a part of the judicial process that starts with the initial arrest or detainment. Jay is next in Franklin. Hey, Jay.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I was a cop for 26 years, 22 of which was with the biggest Middle Tennessee department. You can figure out where. I want to say something that should be a little reassuring. I do not think that any police organization wants to make it a policy across the board of masking up. What has already been talked about is true. Special operations, undercover officers often wear masks. Often members of SWAT teams are also cross-pollinated in narcotics operations, so they mask up. I do not think it would ever become common for patrol officers or even typical investigation type situations to be masked. No department wants that because it is a bad look. And all departments are very concerned about public relations. Now, for the raids, I can see it because it's not like a bunch of guys showing up armed, clearly marked as police, are going to be not recognized as police. And there is the possibility of doxing, and cartels do assassinations. There are cartels involved in illegal alien operations. And a lot of Mexican officers are killed in their homes and in their neighborhoods, bringing their families into it oftentimes because they are police. Now, we're not Mexico. We do not want to become Mexico. Part of what is going on right now is to prevent that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, I do believe it is purely for officer safety in unique circumstances. And it will never become across the board because nobody wants that. And you do have to be clearly identified as police, because that too is an officer safety problem. If you're not clearly identified as police, you're putting yourself at a
well, they're right, because if I don't identify you as a police officer, I might do something to try to protect myself. No question. Great points all, Jay. I got to run. Music in the background means it's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Go over to the YouTube chat. I'm being dunked on the YouTube chat. Those people are crazy over there. Join us on YouTube. Give us the old thumbs up. Anywhere you join us, we appreciate you on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Here comes the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And a heads up for drivers in Nashville tomorrow. The Korean Veterans Bridge will be down to 2 lanes both directions in preparation for full closure Sunday for the filming of a scene for the new 911 Nashville TV show. Got the full forecast and more traffic for you in 5 minutes. Here's another driving hazard in Middle Tennessee to think about: mayflies. They've started hatching and taking over parts of the region in recent weeks. They don't bite, but their massive numbers within swarms can cause problems for drivers, like making it hard to see. And then their guts squished on the road make for slick spots. A son of top Mexican drug trafficking boss El Chapo is pleaded guilty to U.S. drug trafficking charges in Chicago. Here's Chuck Sievertson.
He is the first of El Chapo's sons facing similar drug trafficking charges to enter a plea deal. Guilty to drug trafficking, money laundering, and firearms charges tied to his leadership role in the Sinaloa cartel. Ovidio Guzman Lopez previously pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors allege Ovidio, with his brother Joaquin, known as the Little Chapos, ran a faction of the cartel that exported fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana to the U.S.
In our nation's capital, up to 3,000 federal workers to be laid off starting today in the State Department. This is part of a mass reorganization of the federal agency, which the Supreme Court greenlighted this week. It's been in the works for months when Secretary of State Marco Rubio notified Congress in May that as many as 1,800 U.S.-based workers would be cut from the approximately 19,000 employed by the State Department. And right now in Kerrville, Texas, President Trump and the First Lady visiting in the wake of deadly flooding.
The people here, first responders, the sheriff's office, all of the police, law enforcement, they've done an unbelievable job.
Yeah, the president says God now has the victims. And First Lady?
My deepest sympathy to all of the parents who lost beautiful young souls. Deepest sympathy from all of us to the community, to everybody who lost a loved one.
At least 121 people have died as first responders continue to try to search the rubble for more victims. A life and death moment in South River, New Jersey on Monday. Police responding to a call find 1-year-old Joseph lifeless in his father's arms, unable to breathe. 2 officers attempt to resuscitate the toddler. ABC's Alec and Kosit.
Officer Nicholas Swineford arrives. He grabs Joseph, flips him over, and keeps going.
Flip the child over and start to do back blows until another officer is available.
The officers taking turns, using every ounce of their strength to force the obstruction out. Finally, their efforts pay off.
We did hear something, kind of clearing up.
An ambulance arrives. Now, Joseph is back in his father's grateful arms, this time awake and breathing just fine.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
Satan knows Scripture better than some Christians, and for that reason should be respected because he has centuries of experience in deceiving and tempting people. Satan understands our human nature and our motivations. Satan has the power to plant thoughts in our minds if we allow it through ignorance. John 13:2, during supper, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him, that being Jesus, Satan can possess non-believers as well. Luke 22:3, and Satan entered into Judas, who was called Iscariot, belonging to the number of the 12. Satan actually tries harder on Christians because Christians become his enemies when we accept Christ as our Savior. The best news, Christians share in Jesus' victory since he defeated Satan's power on the cross. John 16:33, these things I have spoken to you so that in me you may have peace. In the world you may have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world. Scan to learn more.
Smyrna got a crash blocking the right two lanes of 24 eastbound before Sam Ridley Parkway. In Antioch, an injury crash, Harding Place, both north and southbound, just east of Metroplex Drive. The downtown split, we are back to the left lane blocked, the right shoulder open. 40 westbound to go westbound on the South Loop. And in Franklin, we've got a crash, 65 southbound right before I-840. Over by the airport, a crash reported by police, 40 westbound at Briley Parkway East. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we are. Here we go. Hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show is in progress. Almost 9 past the hour. Thank you for being with us. Whatever time you're able to give, we're certainly appreciative of it. I am very appreciative of our President of the United States of America. More on him in just a moment. I'm appreciative of you. Thank you for participating in the first hour of the show. A lively discussion about where we draw the line regarding masking up of our law enforcement agencies and officers. A lot of that happening on the federal level, what with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement out in all across the United States of America, and many of them are masking up for fear that the political left is attempting to dox those police officers, those law enforcement agencies, and out them and put them in some sort of danger or harm's way. A lot of response in the first hour, and we appreciate all the response. You know, I used Glenn Funk as an example, said, are prosecutors allowed to mask? I mean, for fear of reprisal based on what they do in the courtroom. And I was like, would you want Glenn Funk to wear a mask? And 1505 said, Glenn Funk doesn't need to wear a mask. He never prosecutes. I love it. I love it. That's so good. And true. Don't forget, Senator Bill Hagerty coming up 1 hour from now. Good to talk with our good senator. We appreciate him for being on the show. And we also appreciate this next opportunity. You know, it feels like a long, long time, and it has been a long, long time since I've been able to do this. Folks, get your questions in here. Get your phone calls in here. Ladies and germs, it's Frijay.
Good morning, Americans. It's Frijay.
And all of y'all are right. Nobody said anything during COVID when officers were wearing masks. COVID was a crazy time. It was a crazy time, kids. Crazy. People kick you out of their store just for masking up. Jay Sinclair did not change his modus operandi very much during COVID-19. I know that because I was around Jay a lot during COVID-19. He joins us on this Frijay edition. My brother, it is good to get back to regular order. What is going on, my friend?
Yeah, no, it's good to hear your voice, man. Sound good.
Well, I'm faking it until I make it. You know how that goes. PT is I had to ask. You'll appreciate this, Jay, because you're such a good influence on me in a lot of different ways. And I dabble in cursing. You don't do a lot of it. I don't hear a lot of curse words coming out of your mouth. But I do, and you know that. A lot of it happens on the golf course. But you'll appreciate this. I was with my physical therapist, Abby, earlier in the week, and I asked Abby if it was okay if I cuss.
Out loud?
Yes.
While you're getting physical therapy?
Yes.
I bet she said sure.
She said, you can do anything you want, just don't hit me. It was around the time, Jay, it was around the time where we reached on my shoulder, we reached 127 degrees of angle on the shoulder.
Nice.
And I said, Abby, it feels like my shoulder's about to pop out of socket. And she said, I appreciate you. I validate that, but it's not. And I said, is it okay if I cuss? She said, yeah, just don't hit me.
So would 90 degrees be straight out, level with the ground?
Yeah, so if you imagine me lying down, face up, 90 degrees would be my hand straight up in the air toward the ceiling.
Oh.
And so if you go toward my head, then we got to 127 degrees.
Yeah, so if you laid it all the way back, even with your back, that'd be 180 degrees.
And that is our goal, my friend.
Okay.
That's what we're going for. Yeah, just a couple of weeks in. So that's good. Before we get to more serious legal matters, Jay, how about that SVG, buddy?
Yeah, well, if you had asked me, Jay, how you doing?
I forgot.
I was gonna say if I were any better, I'd be SVG.
Man, that guy's got it going on. If you're a race car fan and you're not following this story, I don't think you're a real race car fan.
No, you're not. You're not a real race car fan. Whatever brand of it, Formula One people, I've got to be just enamored with this. It's crazy. And he didn't say this, but somebody else. No, I guess it was his team owner that said this. The real proof of it was Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
That was the great leveler because it's a track none of them had ever raced on.
Right.
So everybody is starting in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. 16 seconds.
I mean, incredible,
man. So that's how much faster he is than everybody else. Start on a level playing field. 16 seconds. Amazing. No, he's kind of a one-trick pony, and he's got to learn this over. But frankly, it just shows how great the other guys are at the craft of oval track.
Right. Oh, yeah, because
from iRacing how, it's tenths of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a 1/10 of a second slower in a 200-lap race, well, you're going to be 30 seconds behind. You're going to get lapped.
Well, and he said that he thought Chicago was one of the hardest road courses in the world.
Right.
And he said, or street courses, I guess he said, not road courses, street courses, a little bit different. But it's based on, the idea if on a normal track, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds and bore people.
Well, you're talking about no runoff?
It's just no, yeah. I mean, if you make
did you see that guy who lost his brakes?
Oh, I don't mean to laugh.
He broke his helmet.
It's crazy.
It broke his Hans device.
Mm-hmm.
And it bent his steering wheel.
Crazy.
That's how hard that hit was.
Yeah, because, you don't run off into gravel. You don't get into the kitty litter. You get into a concrete wall.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I absolutely loved it and love watching it. And I think of you so often because of the heel toe that he does. And he gets asked about it. I mean, it's gotten to the point, Jay, where it's over the, the surface level because, they're asking him actively about it. And he says it doesn't help him. He said it doesn't help him in Spain.
Of course he's not going to. He's still going to give away his secrets. Of course not. But he's the only guy out there doing it, man. Right. And he beat him by 16 seconds.
Right.
Oh, no, it doesn't help any.
No.
Nobody needs to work on that. It's not going to make you any faster. It's a waste of time. That's what racers do, man. I know them. That's what racers do.
I love it. Jay, I mean, your legal, I mean, you know a lot about racing. You know even more about the law. I mentioned to you earlier today, if you had, I mean, I guess it wasn't technically an 8-1 decision. I don't think they came out with a count on it, but I think it's considered 8-1 because even Sonia Sotomayor concurred with the majority opinion on this decision that, of course, the president of the United States has the authority to move things around within the executive branch of government. And I'm just fascinated, and I guess it's just, it's the way the system goes. A president gets to nominate his Supreme Court justices, and if it's confirmed by the Senate, I guess there's no requirement that Supreme Court justice be very smart about the law.
No, that's right. I was thinking about that, and the only real check there, man, the only real check is the majority party in the Senate. And when it's the same party in both the president and the Senate, it just takes some really strong people to vote down a nominee by the president, even if they think they're not qualified. Now the maybe the most controversial nomination that was blocked was the smartest man I've ever met in my life was Robert Bork. But I'm certain there that what happened is the Senate. This may have been actually they may have still had the filibuster. I bet you that's what happened because I think the Republicans did have a majority in the Senate, but this was before Reid did away with the filibuster on Supreme Court justices, and so the Democrats blocked that. So it's extremely rare if the president and the Senate majority of the same party, whoever the president nominates is going to get it.
It was. I just looked it up while you were talking because I know. For those who don't know, you took a class with.
He was one of my law school professors.
And tell the story when Ronald.
This is so naive. I'm just naive. It's in 1980, and I'm up at the Yale Law School, and wasn't that political at the time. And this was when Reagan and Carter were running against each other. And Reagan wins in a landslide. And I get up and go to my first class the next morning. It has a huge chalkboard in the class. I mean, huge. It's like 20 feet tall and 40 feet wide. And somebody had come in overnight. This is the day after Reagan got elected. And somebody had come in and wrote in 5-foot-high letters, "Congratulations, Justice Bork."
Wow.
That's how wide known it was, is that he was Reagan's first choice.
Yeah, how esteemed he was in that environment and how well it was known what regard Reagan held him to.
And he must have, we were the first class. I was not taking, he was not teaching that class, but I bet he had the next class in that classroom. That's why they did it in that classroom, I guarantee you.
It was
so cool.
It was votes in favor 42, votes against 58.
Oh, wow. So it must have been a Senate, Democratic majority in the Senate.
And I think, you know what? Hold on. I just had it where two Democrats and 40 Republicans voted in favor, 52 Democrats and 6 Republicans voted against.
Yeah, but I mean, the 52 Democrats all over the table.
Wouldn't have mattered.
It was a shame, but that's rare, and that stands out in history, Matt, because it is so rare. And, when that is supposed to happen, really, is during the vetting process. What presidents should do is go around and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this person. What do y'all think? Will they be able to get confirmed or whatnot?" And that's really the point in the process where it ought to get shot down.
Well,
but it didn't happen.
And so, we're left with what we saw earlier this week, which is, frankly, even from the layman's perspective, a fairly embarrassing dissenting opinion by Ketanji Brown Jackson, because she didn't even seem to understand what the court was considering.
Right.
I mean, but thankfully, I mean, in those cases, as tribal as we have become, I mean, maybe it's just a little sliver of solace that even in cases like this, Sotomayor and Kagan could not figure out a way to go against Trump.
Well, that's right. And they understand they're going to be historical figures, and they understand that their whole body of work is going to be examined 100 years. And they have pride, and they're just not going to embarrass themselves, really, in any case.
Well, we got questions coming in on the phone lines and questions coming in on the super text line, and we've got Jay St. Clair for the better part of this hour. He is live with us, and you can join us on Super Talk TV, and you can see Jay on Zoom as well. It's 21 after the hour. We'll be back to it in a moment on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you for a moment about Safe House. Nashville Safe House is the go-to company for anything and all things safety when it comes to safes, vault doors, or secure places to keep valuables or that which secure you, your property, and your family. And I've got a brand new rebate to tell you about. Starting right now on Browning Safes through the end of August, they've got rebates at Nashville Safe House. And Liberty has rebates through July. They have, of course, the largest selection of home safes, gun safes, and vault doors in the Southeast, and that means in the United States of America. They have over 200 on the showroom floor, or thereabouts 200 on the showroom floor, and over 500 safes in stock and ready for delivery, and only certified delivery crews delivering their safes. Don't forget, gun safes are always sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. Nashville Safe House is also the #1 Liberty dealer in Nashville and now has more Liberty safes on display and ready for delivery than any other dealer. And don't forget about Browning and Fort Knox. Nashville Safe House, the place to buy. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com or on the road, 4th Avenue South in Nashville. Hey, folks, I guess it's my turn to tell you about Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Man, oh, man, it's hot outside. Y'all know the drill, right? In July and August and September, it's going to be hot in Middle Tennessee. And if your AC goes out, you need to know who to call. You call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They'll send a crackerjack crew right out. I mean, sometimes you'll see Jeff himself. Other times you'll see one of his qualified technicians. If you need Jeff Eddy, he's there for you jiffy quick, and he's going to give you a diagnosis. He's going to save you money because he's never going to fix what doesn't need to be fixed. Bottom line is this: sadly, in the heating and air conditioning industry, a lot of times they just default to replacing the entire unit. Don't let that happen to you. You could save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars by saving years on that unit by calling Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling. He also keeps the overhead down, never charges you overtime rates on nights or weekends, and they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.
Here's some of what President Trump is saying after seeing the Texas flood damage firsthand. And here in Middle Tennessee, another black bear sighting. These stories and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We get some of the more interesting questions when we have sessions of Frijay. Absolutely love this segment. I'm glad that you do as well. It is the favorite segment for most listening on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of my favorites, too, because I get to talk to my best friend, my legal correspondent, my lawyer, my gambling buddy. His name is Jay Sinclair, and he's got a lot of questions on the table for him. Matt Murphy, please ask Jay what the legal interpretation or delineation would be between confidential and proprietary. That's weird. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I'll get it. There is a lot of, and here's the reason the person's asking this. It's very common for companies to have policies that say that their employees cannot disclose confidential or proprietary information. Proprietary information is, or in another terms, uses trade secrets. Let me, maybe the best way to do it is an example. Let me take my good client, Coca-Cola. The formula for Coca-Cola is confidential. That means that you cannot go tell that outside the company. The formula for Coca-Cola is also proprietary. It is part of their business. So there's really not a big difference between the meaning of those two words. Both of them just refer to business secrets, information that a company has that it does not want its competitors to know. Well, then why do they use both these words in these agreements or pilot? You know where I'm going with this.
I do.
Is Ken Weaver listening?
He's
yes,
over
sir,
there,
Brother
in the
Jay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Ken, you've heard about a cease and desist letter, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, we all know what the word cease means. Do you know the definition of desist?
I do not.
Well, Google it real quick.
Okay. All right, let's look it up.
I want you to give me the definition of desist, and it's one word.
Cease.
So it's really a cease and cease letter. They mean exactly the same.
Well, why do they do that then, Jay?
That's a great question because lawyers are risk averse. And the reason is 187 years ago, somebody sent the first one of these letters, and they wanted to make sure they covered all the bases. So they said cease and desist.
Don't just cease. We want you to
cease and desist.
And we want you to cease and cease.
That's right. And then once one person does, and everybody else has to mimic it. Because they're afraid that if they don't say it the same way, then someone else says, well, you didn't tell me to desist. I've ceased, but you didn't say I had to desist.
Well, you told, yeah.
And none of those words have any legal meaning. If my grandmother had been the first person to write, all it is telling somebody to stop doing something. And there's no legal, those are not magic legal words. And if my grandmother had sent the first one of those letters, Ken, we'd be calling it a quit that letter.
You better quit that.
You better quit that.
And my interpretation of what Jay just said, Ken, is that lawyers get paid oftentimes by the word.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can only charge half for a cease letter but a cease and desist letter costs you twice as much.
Twice as much.
So the answer is there is very little difference between confidential. Everything that is confidential, well, there may be some things that are confidential but not proprietary. That we play a jigsaw puzzle in the break room. But we don't want anybody to know that. That's confidential, but that doesn't have anything to do with the business.
Right.
But just about everything that's proprietary is also going to be confidential. And I'd say that's really very close to cease and desist, man.
Jay has an answer for it, man, and I absolutely love it. We got many calls coming in. We got many questions on the Super Text line, and we'll get to them in a moment. It's 4:30. It's time for the news on Super Talk.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And a heads up, drivers in Nashville starting tomorrow. The Korean Veterans Bridge is going to be reduced to 2 lanes both directions to prepare for a total closure of Korean Veterans Bridge on Sunday. This is so crews can film a scene for the new 911 Nashville TV show. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump moments ago in Kerrville, Texas, after seeing the flood damage.
FEMA has deployed multiple emergency response units, and FEMA has been really headed by some very good people. We have some good people running FEMA. It's about time.
Selena Wang is there.
The president heaping praise on Texas Governor Abbott, and he had also spent the day earlier touring the damage, and the president saying that he had never seen anything like that, nothing like the scale of the destruction that he saw in Texas. The president also acknowledged that this is a time where the community, where the nation is mourning. He talked about visiting some of the grieving families and saying that this is to honor those whose lives were lost.
Still 121 people dead and still hundreds missing. Right now in Middle Tennessee, heads up after another black bear sighting. News 2 says it was spotted this morning in the Jolton area. This is near Anderson Lane. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency got multiple calls reporting bear sightings along Ridge Circle near I-24. Remember, multiple black bears were seen in Sumner County last month. One of them unfortunately died after it was hit by a car along Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in Gallatin. Then another bear picked up on a trail camera in Cottontown. Authorities say do not approach the bears. Call them. A son of top Mexican drug trafficking boss El Chapo has pleaded guilty to U.S. drug trafficking charges in Chicago. Here's Chuck Severson.
Changing his plea from not guilty to guilty in a deal with federal prosecutors to drug trafficking, money laundering, and firearms charges, Ovidio Guzman Lopez. Prosecutors allege Ovidio, with his brother Joaquin, known as the Little Chapos, ran a faction of the Sinaloa cartel that exported fentanyl, heroin, meth, and cocaine to the U.S. He agreed to postpone sentencing to a later court date.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Smyrna got a stalled vehicle blocking the second left lane. That's going to be 24 eastbound near Sam Ridley. And in Antioch, got an injury crash reported. Police say this is Harding Place, both north and southbound, just east of Metroplex Drive. At the downtown split, we still have a left lane blocked, but the right shoulder is open. This is going to be the 40 westbound ramp to go westbound on the South Loop. Still cleaning up that earlier tractor-trailer crash. And in Franklin, police say there's a crash 65 southbound right before 840. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you're out and about over the weekend and you're down Franklin Way, I encourage you to stop into Savory Spice and see some of the deliciousness that they're serving. You know, a lot of us this time of year, we're out and about at the grill, right? You know, we're cooking up some burgers or some hot dogs. Maybe you did that for the 4th of July. If you're looking for seasoning for grill-related items, maybe rubs, they have great gift ideas for rubs. If you have a griller who loves outdoor grilling and you're looking for a gift for them, they've got them at Savory Spice. They have all flavors for all taste, all kinds of different food items. They've got the Spice and Easy line of products. They've got a large selection of gift ideas. I mean, just something for everyone in the kitchen at Savory Spice. Go by and see Holly and David. They're locally owned and operated as well, which I love that about them. And you'll find something for yourself for food tonight. You up your food game by upping your spice game. And as I like to say, you up your spice game at Savory Spice. Go see them today. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I promise I'm trying there, Jackson. I don't know why it's not doing it. Oh, there it goes. I just slipped it into your DMs there, buddy. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Jackson Williams behind the glass. Ken Weaver behind him in News Closet B. Jay St. Clair will be back with us in just a moment. Zoom's making things difficult, so we're transferring over to a phone line. And we'll get back to your telephone calls and your questions momentarily. 615-737-9986. As we're getting Jay back on the phone, I mentioned Donald Trump earlier today at in Texas, Kerrville, Texas, the epicenter of the disastrous flooding that occurred there. I want to share, Donald Trump, you know, no matter what the crazy liberals would want to believe, would want to tell you or believe, Donald Trump is an incredible comforter in chief. And he has demonstrated it yet again today as he met one-on-one with families of those affected by the flooding, with first responders. And here's some of what he had to say.
Really, they feel a love for the community. They wanted to rebuild. I mean, they talked about, we're going to rebuild, we're going to come back. It's the only place that people should grow up. They talked about the community more than anything else, which is a beautiful thing. I see that sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they want to get out of a community. I've seen that too. But they really talked about the love of this community, the store, which, as you know, was pretty well demolished, but the two walls are standing, and they want to rebuild it with those two walls standing. And it's very beautiful. It's cute in a certain way, but really beautiful. The love that they have for this community. This is, it's going to rebuild. Look, it's going to be hard to say it can ever be like it was. Too much death, so much. I mean, right now they're looking for still a lot of people missing, but they're going to rebuild this community.
Obviously, Donald Trump meeting with family members, meeting with others regarding the disastrous storms out there. We'll talk more with Senator Bill Hagerty coming up just after 5 o'clock about those disasters, how the left is trying to politicize the trauma experienced in Texas, and how we're not going to allow that to happen, and much, much more. I believe we've got Jay back on the line with us. Sorry about that, Jay. Zoom's trying to squeeze money out of us, I think.
Well, everybody's got to make a living.
Well,
I
I suppose so. They're trying to squeeze us, so they're limited us on our call. But we can circumvent that pretty easy. Jay's on the line, and so is Joe with a question for Jay St. Clair. Joe, you're up.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sinclair. Got a quick question about one of the new laws enacted in Tennessee on July 1st, which was Savannah's Law. It basically created a domestic violence registry. And I was just curious, does that only start and become enacted on July 1st?
You know, I am not familiar with that law, Joe, so I can't give you a definitive answer. But here's my guess, if I'm understanding your question. Are they going to go back and capture events that happened in the past and then put it in the registry? I suppose they might, but that would surprise me, Joe. My guess is it's only going to be for events that happen after the law is passed. But I don't know that. I hadn't looked at that law. I will try to do that maybe during the next break, and then I could answer it after.
I don't know that, and Joe, I don't know that I have an answer for the question that you asked, but I do have an overview of the law pulled up. It is registered through the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. It is individuals with 2 or more convictions for domestic violence offenses who are required to register, including the offender's name, DOB, conviction date, counties of conviction, and photograph. Offenders will be required to pay for the registration. And the law takes effect. Initially, it was to take effect January 1 of 2026, and I think this is one of those that they rolled back to July 1. But I'm not seeing the answer to your specific question, so I'll try to sleuth as well as Jay and try to get an answer for you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Obviously that'd make a big difference, I suppose. I mean, if you've got prior convictions versus those moving forward, that would kind of surprise me too if they did something retroactive.
Yeah, exactly. That is kind of has a little feel of ex post facto, because it is a little bit more of a punishment. You can't go back and add to the punishment of a crime. You can't,
right.
It was not in place when the crime was committed.
Tim is next up. Tim's got a question for Jay St. Clair. Hello, Tim.
Hey, how you doing? Jay, during COVID, I was hired as a regional sales manager for a home health care company. Contract signed, went on for about 3/4 of a year, and all of a sudden they failed to pay. Well, I hired an attorney. We filed a lawsuit in federal court in Nashville. The company's based out of Arkansas. I was told that we won by default.
Right.
Okay? That's been 2 years.
Yeah, they just didn't show up and file it.
Yeah, that's been 2 years.
Right.
The last conversation I had with the attorney was he was waiting for the judge to sign off on it. That's something to do with they had to make sure the person wasn't in the military or something. But now he's showing no interest. I've got a judgment somewhere for $64,000.
Yep.
What do I need to do?
Yeah, now you got to collect it. I'll tell you what I would do. Here's what I would do. Because getting a judgment's one thing, but now you got to collect it. And so what I would do is call a debt collection agency, Tim, and you can find them on the internet. And don't pay a lawyer to do it. It's going to cost too much. Because what these folks will do is just take a percentage of what they actually get. And so just call them and tell them, and you know, you may want to shop around a little bit. But the prices may be a little bit different. But it ought to be a percentage of whatever money they get. And then they can track down the court record to make sure there is a final judgment. What the lawyer's saying, that's odd to me. I don't believe any federal judge would leave a case sitting open like that for 2 years. So I think you're right. I suspect you have a final judgment. But now you got to go get the money. And you don't want to do that. That's not what you do. You want to hire somebody, that's all they do for a living to you. And you can find them on the internet.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, Tim, thank you much for your call. Let's go to Richard next up. Hey, Richard, good afternoon.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. So this is kind of a weird situation. So when my grandfather passed, he had some cemetery plots at a well-known cemetery in Nashville. It's really expensive. So it went through probate through a trust company, and they separated it all out. And so me, my brother, and my sister ended up getting these 4 plots. Come to find out, you know, we're really not interested. We can't do anything with them. I mean, it's really tough to advertise something like that. But I called the cemetery company to ask what they're worth, and they, you know, I gave them the plot numbers, this and that. Well, come to find out, they ended up deeding us somebody else's plots.
Wow.
So my question is, I know it's kind of weird, is there a way to kind of leverage the fact that they signed off the wrong ones on us to possibly maybe sell those back to them and then in turn just deed the ones that we don't want over to them?
You know, I'm not clear who made the mistake, Richard, because if it went through probate, then I don't know, maybe because your grandfather, let's say they were lots 1 through 4.
Right.
Well, that should have been what transferred to y'all through the probate. So I don't know that it's the cemetery's mistake, but it could be. But that's an unusual situation. And what do you think? The original plots? What do you think they were worth?
Well, according to them, they were about $16,000 each.
Yeah, and there's 4 of them.
4 of them.
And then the 4 that they're saying you own now, how much are they?
Are families that are kind of next to that property.
Yeah. So, are they all worth the same amount of money?
Yes, they're all pretty much right there street side.
Well, see, I don't know that Jake gives you much leverage because you've got you've got the deed to these lots. I mean, they're yours.
Well, the thing is, there's already family members buried in their area.
Well, okay. Well, then that's the difference. Yeah. Well, yeah, that does give you some leverage. It absolutely gives you some leverage because
they're gonna want those back. I mean, that kind of works in my favor, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely does. Yeah, I absolutely. I would talk to them and say, well, look, then you either need to give me our lots, give me deeds to our lots, or you need to give us $64,000. And just see how far you can get that. You may not get the whole $64,000, Richard. But
right, which we wouldn't really ask that anyway. We would be willing to make a deal just to make them go away.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I start off and say that look, we don't have our lots; they're gone, and we can't use these other lots. There's already people buried there, so y'all got to make this right. And we think these lots are worth about $64,000 total. But I tell you what, if you just give us 50 cents on the dollar, we'll be happy.
Okay.
And then they may end up paying you. They may end up paying you 25 cents on the dollar, but $16,000 is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Richard.
I really appreciate your help. I've been wondering that. Thanks.
Appreciate your telephone call. Getting to as many as we can. George, you are next up with Jay Sinclair. Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. We've got a situation. We bought a new car in 2023, and since day one, driving it home from Chattanooga, bringing it back to Middle Tennessee, we had a fuel pump failure on day one. And
George, I'm having a little trouble understanding.
George, yeah, I am too.
Is that better?
Are you on the speakerphone?
Gosh. I don't think, George, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you on hold, and maybe Jackson can get the nature of your question and relate it to Jay. as we're just kind of navigating a little no, I put Jay on hold too. Choppy waters here. It's 10 until the top of the hour. We'll get to as many as we can. I've got all manner of questions on the super text line, and I'll try to rapid fire some of those for Jay Sinclair in just a moment. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN in the midst of Frijay. Cover Nash is my go-to source for all things health insurance in our community, and I believe they should be yours as well. Shane Ring at Cover Nash can tell you today whether you're paying too much for health insurance over the past year or the last several years. Shane is not a call center agent. He does not believe in it. He is a local health insurance expert that can answer any and all of your questions that you might have and knows that you don't have to pay for plans that you don't need. He'll sit down with you and shop the entire healthcare market. He doesn't sell you specific plans or specific products. He sells you the entire market. You're his customer, in other words. So I've been to Shane's office. I've seen the way he does his business, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Call Cover Dash. Don't wait. Do not wait until they tell you, open enrollment, it's this and that. Take control of your money. Take control of your healthcare coverage. Go to CoverDash.com or call 615-465-0023, 465-0023. Hey, folks, Matt Murphy here for the one and only Glock store. Folks, the Glock store is the best when it comes to selling Glocks to you and your family. Every Glock is in stock. They're talking about every version of every model. The customized Glocks are true works of art. I've seen them with my own eyes. They're worth the drive just to check them out. And the people there are not just Glock experts. They are Glock aficionados. They absolutely love what they do regarding Glocks. They love talking about Glocks, Glock accessories, performance products. You never feel rushed. You never feel like you're asking too many questions. They're there to serve you. They have folks that drive in from Kentucky every day because they love working at the Glock store. Customer service is simply unmatched. And if their door is open for business, for example, there's a certified Glock gunsmith on duty, and they'll install your enhancement or performance parts for free while you wait. Just one of the many reasons that I recommend the Glock Store to you. Go to glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Better yet, stop by Airlane Drive just off of Elm Hill Pike, minutes away from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere. It's the Glock Store.
Nashville is considering shifting more of the responsibility of the removal of homeless camps to private property owners. We'll tell you about that at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. We'll get to as many of your calls, your questions as humanly possible before the top of the hour news. And right afterwards, we'll get to Senator Bill Hagerty, who will join us just after 5 o'clock, talking to us about the big, beautiful law that was recently passed, what it will mean for the American people, what good it does, what concerns he has over overspending, how we can get back to regular order, amongst other things. If you have any questions for Senator Hagerty, obviously get those in on the super text line 615-737-9986. Jay Sinclair is still with us. Let's try George one more time. George, I hope we got you in a better cell situation. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Is this any better?
Yeah, a little bit. If you ask me, if Jay can't hear you, I will relate the question, but go ahead.
So we purchased a new vehicle, and trying to keep it short, we had several issues with the vehicle starting on day one, less than 180 miles on it. And the most recent situation, we've got an issue with the power steering popping sound that's been going on. They've made, as of now, four repair attempts, including 3 times they've replaced the power steering rack. They have said to us that right now that's the only thing that they can do. They know it's a defect with the power steering rack, but they don't have a re-engineered part or anything like that. The vehicle right now is only like a couple hundred miles short of the end of the warranty. So my big concern here is, with being so close to the warranty expiration, what kind of issues could I run into with them trying to drag something out, or what do I need to do to make sure that I'm protecting myself from any issues that I could step on my own toes over in that situation?
First thing you need to do, George, is any call that you get that is a spam call, you need to answer it, because they're probably trying to sell you an extended car.
Oh, Jay.
And you need to get in the market for an extended car warranty. You know, so they're trying. It's still underwater. Are you dealing with a local dealership?
Yes.
Yep. And the dealership you bought the car at, George?
No, we bought it in Chattanooga, and we're dealing with the local dealer, 2 local dealerships.
Okay. Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same company, same manufacturer.
And we've been talking to Honda corporate as well.
Yeah. So it's a Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, you just got to work with the dealership. You know what I would do, what I think about doing, you may have to go back to the original dealership, but say to them, look, this car's a lemon. Y'all can't get it fixed. Let's see if we can't work a deal. Let me trade this in and let me get a new car. You're always going to have problems with that car, George. And
we've had that conversation with the dealership up here, and they won't offer.
Yeah, well, they didn't sell you the car. Yeah, they didn't sell you the car, did they?
Right.
I'd go back to the dealership in Chattanooga. Now, they don't have to do that. There's no law that says they got to do that, but I just think that's what's in your best interest. You're going to continue to have problems with this car, and then you know, when your warranty runs out, you can get an extended warranty. I've never owned one of those. I don't know how good they are, but I really think what's in your best interest is you need to get rid of that car.
So we do have an extended warranty that we bought when we bought the car, but I don't. Yeah. As far as how lemon law applies, I don't know if that makes a difference.
No, I think you're outside the window for the limit. I think you're outside the limit. You've owned the car for what, 2 years?
Yeah, right at 2 years.
Yeah, so then I think the limit law, it doesn't run that far out.
George, I'm sorry to leave it there, but we got to. I hope we got you a little down the road. I like the idea of getting back to the original place that sold you the car. They're probably going to feel a little more responsibility.
Well,
that sort of thing.
they already sold him one car. They won't send him
Well, that's true. Jay, I absolutely love this hour together, and I'm glad to get it back and get back into the swing of things, and we'll do it again next week, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Same to you, brother.
All right, take care. There's Jay Sinclair. Bill Hagerty coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen on Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, our own app. Listen on 99.7 FM or watch on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Halfway home on this Friday edition on Super Talk.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looking at radar here, there's a line of some pretty strong showers and thunderstorms just to the west of Nashville. Actually, just to the west of Dixon, slowly creeping this way. Then south of Nashville, got a couple of strong cells around Christiana, just southwest of Christiana, north of Chapel Hill. They look like they're slowly creeping to the northeast. And a heads up, if you're going to be driving around downtown Nashville this weekend, the Korean Veterans Bridge is going to be closed all day on Sunday for the filming of a scene for the new 911 Nashville TV show. Got the full forecast, another traffic update in 5 minutes. President Trump and the First Lady are visiting Kerrville, Texas this afternoon in the wake of the deadly flooding there at the site of the disaster. The president saying his administration has fixed FEMA since he took office.
We've deployed over 400 first responders and assisted or enabled more than 1,500 rescues.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee is there.
Here along the Guadalupe River, some people, as part of the search and rescue efforts, they are trying to recover the bodies and give closure to these families who are still waiting to find out about what happened to their loved ones. More than 160 people still missing.
Yeah, at least 121 dead. Right now in Nashville, Metro's Office of Homeless Services could shift more responsibility to private property owners regarding the removal of homeless camps. News 2 says the proposal follows the release of this year's point-in-time count, which claims that there are more than 2,000 people experiencing homelessness, and 43% of those are living outdoors in these encampments. And a man has been found guilty of murdering his father in his home, then later posting a graphic video to YouTube in suburban Philadelphia. Here's ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
Justin Moan was convicted by a judge in Doylestown, PA, Friday in a bench trial and sentenced to life in prison. He admitted shooting to death and beheading his father last year. Moan called it a failed citizen's arrest for treason. Bucks County DA Jennifer Shorn.
There's no question there's mental health,
but
it does not certainly equate to any type of legal justification.
The day of the murder, Moan was arrested after scaling a fence at State National Guard headquarters. Prosecutors say he wanted help to overthrow the government.
Over in our nation's capital, the State Department sending formal notices of layoffs to more than 1,000 employees. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The notices are going out to 1,100 civil service employees and more than 240 foreign service officers with assignments in the U.S. The State Department says in all 3,000 people will either lose their jobs or depart voluntarily. The senior official says the plan is to focus on policy priorities and to eliminate redundant functions. The group that represents foreign service officers says the reduction in force sends a message to allies and adversaries that the U.S. is pulling back from the world stage.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over by the airport, got a crash blocking the right lane 40 westbound before Briley Parkway. The stop and go starts at Stewart's Ferry Pike. Berry Hill, police reporting a crash. The on-ramp right lane is blocked 65 northbound from Armory Drive. In Franklin, got a crash 65 southbound before 840. Then in Smyrna, looks like they have just cleared an incident 24 eastbound near Sam Ridley Parkway. Good news there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is the Matt Murphy Show, halfway home this Friday edition. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you, whether you're joining us on the radio dial, 99.7 FM, all throughout Middle Tennessee, perhaps on Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, a variety of apps. If it's streaming anywhere, we're there. Just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have our own app. You can join us by going to your app store. And then, of course, there's Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and now Rumble. We joined Rumble earlier in the week. Type in 997 WTN, and you can find us on that platform. We appreciate you being with us and your participation in the show via the Super Text line. You have any questions for our next guest, Senator Bill Hagerty, get them in, and I'll get them to the senator on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Speaking of, he is on our Murphy Show hotline, and we are pleased to be rejoined by the good senator from the state of Tennessee, Bill Hagerty, on the show. Hello, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be back with you, Matt, and I'm glad that your surgery has gone okay and you're back on the air. My best wishes for a speedy recovery there.
Well, you're very kind. I appreciate that. Just onward and upward. I got to 127 degrees during PT today. That's good, by the way, Bill. That's good. Wow. So I feel good about it.
Good.
Look, in my absence, the 2 weeks, man, I was champing or chomping, depending on how you say it, at the bit to get back on the radio because, man, oh, man, I mean, the summertime is not slowing the Trump administration down or the activity happening in the United States Senate either. Let's start with the BBB, which is now the BBL, the Big Beautiful Law. You know, I had concerns like, you know, some conservative Americans about not maybe taking a big enough bite of the apple out of spending.
I totally get it.
And I know you've been asked this question plenty of times. I mean, obviously, on balance, the good far outweighed the negative. But talk to us about what it did accomplish, your concerns about that big bite we could take, and what is next for the Congress of the United States to continue deficit reduction.
Well, without putting our listeners to sleep today, I won't get too much into the protocols, but it's a complicated process moving these bills to the Senate, Matt. And of all the people I talk with, you understand the rules up there and know how arcane they can be. But what this bill did accomplish was deliver on the promises that President Trump made on the campaign trail. He'd been talking about extending the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Every Democrat voted to take that down and to increase taxes on Americans by north of $4 trillion. Let me just make that clear. Had that happened, had the Democrats gotten their way, the projections from the Council of Economic Advisors showed a negative 6% GDP decline in 2026. Can you imagine that? Cratering our economy, putting the U.S. in a recession that's so large that it would impact the entire world economy. That's what they voted for. What we did was we extended and made permanent tax cuts that would, frankly, stimulate a lot of capital investment. We're going to see that happen again. It happened after the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was put in place. 2018, 2019, best years we've had in economic history. And this is an important point to get across, Matt. The Congressional Budget Office, the so-called scorekeeper up at the U.S. House and Senate, is practicing something along the spectrum of voodoo to malpractice. I mean, the stuff they come up with, they don't give any credit to the investment that's going to be stimulated. They give maximum credit to generating more tax revenues by raising taxes, not assuming that people would change their behavior and just work less or find ways to do it in a different manner to not be taxed, which is exactly what they do. So they're very tax biased, very tax revenue biased in that respect, but they're not growth biased. And in 2017, their calculations, Matt, missed the mark by well north of $1 trillion in terms of incremental, unaccounted for tax revenue that came in because of the growth that President Trump generated in the economy. That's how bad it is. So we want to see deficit improvement. I certainly do. I know you do too. We want to start curbing the deficit, start eating away at the debt. This is a growth-oriented bill that's going to put much faster growth than the Congressional Budget Office is accounted for. And there are a couple of other things that it misses. Again, the promises that President Trump made with respect to extending this, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, rebuilding the military, supporting our border patrol and supporting the resources there that are necessary to secure our nation again. All of that is very positive and critical. What he promised, he has delivered on that. Here's what else is going to happen. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, massive new regulations were put in place. You know that very well. They've quantified the impact of that regulatory onslaught that the American public suffered, and it quantifies out to north of $1 trillion per year of incremental compliance cost, regulatory burden, permitting cost, you name it. The Bidens put in over $1 billion a year of extra costs that we didn't have before. Every department head, every agency head has been charged with going through their departments and coming up with ability to basically cut back, to take out the sclerosis and fix this regulatory overhang. So the deregulatory impact, not accounted for at all in these calculations. If you think about north of $1 trillion falling back to the bottom line of American companies and getting reinvested again, winding up in the pockets of employees again, stimulating economic growth. Again, this isn't accounted for at all in the numbers that the Congressional Budget Office puts forward and the numbers that are hawked on TV by the partisan media. So I want to leave you with this. I'm very optimistic that there's a lot more growth in this. In terms of cutting cost, we'll have more opportunities to do that. We'll probably have 2 more reconciliation bills, and we'll have the benefit of the work at DOGE. We'll have the benefit of more work coming out of these departments, figuring out how to restructure, realign these agencies, and really cut back on the spending. But it's tough with Democrats, and we got to get through this 60-vote threshold in the Senate. We can't get spending cuts done with a single Democrat vote.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much the Democrats have moved on things that most common sense Americans seem to agree on, like basic work requirements for able-bodied people for Medicaid. And you know, we played the clip from former President Bill Clinton where he outlined an approach that seems to be very similar to the Trump and Republican senatorial approach to Medicaid work requirements. And yet the Democrats are trying to use this as a talking point moving through 2026. How important is it to reiterate and to double and triple and quadruple down on the basic requirements and the fact that grandma and grandpa and pregnant moms, they're not getting kicked off of their Medicaid. Right.
Yeah, they're not touched. I think the problem that we've got right now isn't the substance of the bill, because when we poll the individual policies like the one that you just described, Matt, work requirements for Medicaid recipients, you know, that's something that was imposed during the pandemic era. The Biden administration kept expanding it. What they want is government dependency, Matt. They want to see maximum government dependency. That's become the new Democrat platform. The days of Bill Clinton are long gone.
Mm-hmm.
And what Republicans want to see are incentives for people to work. You think about the dignity that goes along with that. You think about the fact that if you get out of government dependency and get on the ladder to success, you can actually achieve the American dream. The Democrats would much rather, I think, at least the way they're voting, they'd rather see people trapped in dependency, not incentivize able-bodied people to get back to work, but make it easy for them not to work. That's not the America that our forefathers came to found. And if you think about kicking those people off the rolls, making a work requirement, if you don't work 80 hours in a month, Matt, come on, you probably work 80 hours in a week.
Sure.
If you don't work 80 hours in a month, you don't qualify for Medicaid benefits, assuming you're able-bodied, don't have dependents, and you're not over a certain age and you're not below a certain age. I mean, this is working age individuals, mostly men, and they shouldn't be getting free benefits, and we shouldn't be incentivizing that if they're capable of working.
There was a time, Senator, and not just in our lifetimes, but not so long ago, that we could put partisanship aside when a tragedy hit the United States of America like we saw in Texas. And sadly, some on the political left have seized on this, what they consider to be a political opportunity. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak to this, because I think this goes well beyond, Democrats and Republicans. We look at our fellow Americans who are suffering because of a natural disaster there. And your hearts and your thoughts and your prayers, yes, go out to those folks. Is there anything more that we should be doing, and any thoughts that you have about some of the tragedy that's coming out of Texas?
Well, on the politicization front, it is very, very sad, and I hated to see it. I don't ascribe that intent to the majority of Democrats. I think this is there's a left wing group that just so possessed by politics and so deranged by President Trump's successes that they're going to do anything to try to blame any calamity on him or on the Republicans. But we clearly know that's not the case. In fact, we had doubled up all the resources down there from the National Weather Service because we could see this coming. The failure happened to be in the time of night. You can't control that. The camp counselors didn't get the message in time. They were asleep. It's tragic. It's unfortunate. But trying to lay blame and trying to politicize, it's very, very sad. I mean, you want to talk about politicization, look at what FEMA did when we wanted people taken care of up in Northeast Tennessee.
That's right.
In North Carolina, in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. You've got some mid-level bureaucrat telling people not to stop, not to help people with Trump signs in their yards. That's politicization in its worst, and that's getting cut out in Washington. But with respect to the folks in Texas, one of my good friends had two of his daughters at Camp Mystic. Thankfully, they survived, Matt. Thankfully, they survived. But what they saw will mark them for the rest of their lives. And I just feel so sorry for the families, the people that are grieving right now, the people that have been lost. Prayers are with them, but also those young people that saw this tragedy, and they're going to have to live with it for the rest of their lives too.
You're obviously a student of American history as well as a United States senator, and that kind of goes hand in hand. I have described the first 6 months of the Trump second term as the best second term that I can recall in American history, and I know that's saying a lot. But one of the biggest reasons that I would suggest that, not just some of the economic turnaround that we've seen, not just some of the domestic side policy turnaround that we've seen, but the master stroke that he has engaged in attempting to, accomplishing a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. In doing so, he struck at the heart of their nuclear program. And I want you to speak to that aspect of the Trump presidency and tell me if you would agree with this, Senator, because I did not believe that we had the ability to thread the needle in the manner that the president did. He struck down their nuclear ambitions and at the same time prevented any third parties or Iran itself from escalating the conflict that already existed in the Middle East. It was a master stroke.
Well, it definitely was a master stroke, and it's something that he had to do, frankly, Matt. You look at president after president saying we're not going to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon program. Well, President Trump made his red line clear. He made his timeline clear. You may recall he gave them 60 days to come to the table. On day 61, Israel moved in. And President Trump waited till the opportunity was right. He did something that the Israelis could not do, dropping the bunker bombs, and he did it in a way that was decisive. I did a television interview today, and the clips that are coming on are about whether it was decisive enough, whether enough was destroyed. Look, Matt, we know what the intent of the Iranian regime was. Why would they bury these facilities deep into the ground if they weren't trying to hide something? The Israelis have proven what they were trying to do. They're trying to weaponize enriched uranium. And what has happened is that President Trump has taken out any ability to enrich that remaining uranium any further. To the extent there is any uranium out there, they don't have the ability to weaponize it now because all those labs are destroyed. And people are talking about, well, did you buy yourself months or years? I think what he bought himself was credibility and demonstrated the resolve of the American people and the fact that we are not going to tolerate this anymore. And the Ayatollahs are going to have to come back to the table, because if they don't, they're going to get the full force of the United States. He's already proven that he'll do it. He's done it in a very surgical manner. I think they see the writing on the wall. And, there's arguments over, speculation about if there's any type of material left and how quickly could they get back in business. I think President Trump sent them a pretty clear message that they shouldn't be doing that. So I think it's going to be threaded. He also knows how to impose maximum pressure on them. I was involved in the maximum pressure campaign in his last administration because as U.S. ambassador to Japan, my job was to go to the Japanese. They were very unhappy about my demands, but to get them to stop buying Iranian crude oil. They'd been doing that for 70 years. They reminded me they fought a world war over access to energy. But they ultimately agreed. They stopped buying Iranian crude oil. It happened all over the world. They were almost broke. President Trump was right at the point of having negotiation success with them, and people like John Kerry from the previous Obama administration, who were tied up with the JCPOA, kept pleading with the Iranians, just wait till the election, see if we can get into office. The Democrats did get into office. You know exactly what happened. They stopped enforcing the sanctions. Terror breaks out throughout the Middle East, and they run rampant with this program. Now President Trump has put it to an end. Thank God he did.
Senator, I know I have to get you out of here, but one more quick question, and it is on the front of transparency. So, I mean, I believe that the Trump administration is moving us toward an era of transparency with regard to agencies that do have to keep a lot of secrets, like the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Justice more broadly. But there's been a lot of concern and a lot of conversation about the Epstein files. Any thoughts from you, Senator, about this? And look, I understand that we have to put a certain level of trust in the Department of Justice, but a lot of my listeners are a little concerned because we feel like we got one story a few months ago. Now we're getting a bit of a different story. What is your take on this? Any words of wisdom?
Well, I think the words of wisdom may have come out of the Appropriations Committee yesterday as we put it to a vote. Those files need to be disclosed. I'm for doing that, and I don't know what kind of pressures that the Department of Justice is under, but I do think that if there's nothing to see, then they should make that clear. I don't think anybody fully believes that. And so if there are national security issues involved, they need to figure out how to deal with that. But the American public has been waiting to understand what took place there. A lot of mystery around this thing, and there may be heads of state, who knows, other foreign figures involved in it, who knows. But it's not my job to protect them. There's clearly foul play that's taken place here, and it's really created. More important than the specific case, Matt, it's feeding into this lack of trust that the American public has in our institutions.
Amen.
And whether it's the FBI and CIA, who I my hats off to John Ratcliffe, who's coming to run the CIA, just a Class A individual. He will straighten that place out. You know, Kash Patel, what an amazing job he is doing at the FBI. He knows where the bodies are buried, and he's going after them. It's been amazing to watch that. And Pam Bondi, super talented. We've got a great team there. The fact is, the American public has very good reason to have lost their confidence in these institutions, and these leaders need to bring it back. And President Trump is just the chief executive to get that to happen.
Always a pleasure to communicate with you. Always a great conversation. Thank you so much for keeping Middle Tennessee informed, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Have a great weekend.
All the best. Same to you.
All right, you too. There's Senator Bill Hagerty joining us for the better part of 16 minutes or so. It's 24 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Alpha and Omega is your one-stop shop for all things managed services when it comes to IT, your computers, your printers, anything related to your computers in your workplace, they take care of it. You name it. They'll service it directly, and whether or not they service it directly, if it's IT related, they'll help you troubleshoot those issues, even going so far as to call your service provider for you. They provide at Alpha and Omega emergency services available. They're rarely needed because they do their job so well. Bottom line is this. You'll talk to a real person on the phone with a locally owned MSP right here in the Middle Tennessee area. They deliver confidence when it comes to your computer systems. You should not waste time during your business day worrying about your computer or your cybersecurity. Leave that to Alpha and Omega Computer Consultants. Call them today for any and all of your computer needs. They would love to tackle your project. 615-784-0096, 784-0096, or go to ANDO.net. That's ANDO.net. When couples walk into Genesis Diamonds, they've seen it time and time again. The eyes get really big because the selection is really impressive, almost mind-blowing. A display of sparkling jewelry, literally thousands of choices when it comes to rings, pendants, bracelets, what have you. But the experts at Genesis make everyone who walks through those doors feel totally at ease. One, you're offered a beverage. If you'd like a sparkling something or another, a diet soda, whatever it might be, they offer you that beverage, and it demonstrates that they want you to be as calm. They want you to take your time. They'll ask you as many questions as it takes to get to the bottom of what you're looking for. They're not going to pressure you to do anything you don't want to do. They'll give you an education. I mean, it is just a calm environment. It is not a pressurized sales-related environment because they don't believe in commission-based selling. The consultants at Genesis are not on commission. They're diamond experts, not retail clerks. That means that they are there to find the right thing for you within your budget. Genesis Diamonds, a true direct importer with rock-bottom prices and a luxury experience. See them today in Green Hills and Cool Springs and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis Diamonds.
Pink slips at the State Department today, and the deputy director of the FBI is said to be weighing his future at the Bureau. We'll tell you about it coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you so much. Ken Weaver's in the newsroom. Mason Fleming in the traffic center today. Good old Jackson Williams is behind the glass, pushing the buttons and controlling the experience. My name is Matt Murphy, and I'm just here for the ride until 7 o'clock tonight, and we'll hand off to Mark Levin at that time. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Armchair PD writes in and says, same old questions he always gets. Man up and ask something new. Well, I apologize that I have failed you, Armchair PD, and I will endeavor every moment, starting right now, every second of every day that I am on these airwaves to do better for you, Armchair PD. I will do it. I will dedicate myself. I will dedicate my career. I'll dedicate every moment of my working life to make sure that I do you proud. Because I have failed you up until now, my friend. But from now on, I am working double hard, triple, to make sure that you're proud of me and this radio show and this radio station. Ken Weaver works his behind off to set the standard high, as does Jackson. And what do? I just blow it up. I mean, poor. I mean, if you think you suffer, Armchair PD, imagine how Ken feels.
Well, my behind disappeared whenever I got into my 40s.
I don't know. You still got some. Back there. You have been taking your no acetol, though. I've noticed. Weaver has. You've lost weight this year.
I have.
I mean, if that is on purpose and intentional in your direction, I applaud you, sir.
Dude, I just stopped drinking so much beer.
Well, that'll do it. Although, is life really worth living without a beer or two?
I still have a beer or two
on the weekends. How about
yes,
that?
Sir. Yes, sir.
I had an interesting sour the other night, Ken. I'm going to talk to you about it during Nincompoops. Okay. Interesting, and one of the more interesting sours that I've had in some time. I'll tell you the place too. It's 30 after the hour on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories and heads up drivers this weekend in downtown Nashville. The Korean Veterans Bridge going to be closed all day Sunday for the filming of a scene for the new 911 Nashville TV show. Apparently it's going to have like an Airstream trailer on top of the bridge, And they're telling everybody, don't worry, it's just part of the scenes. It won't be a real emergency. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump and the First Lady in Texas to see the flood damage firsthand and meet with first responders and families mourning the loss of their loved ones, including those little girls at Camp Mystic.
They were there because they loved God. And as we grieve this unthinkable tragedy, we take comfort in the knowledge that God has welcomed those little, beautiful girls into his comforting arms in heaven. And we believe that, have to believe that, and we do.
At least 121 people have died as first responders continue to try to search for hundreds of people reported missing. A show of support today in our nation's capital. Former State Department employees gathering outside the agency's headquarters after layoff notices were sent to more than 1,100 of the civil service employees, nearly 250 foreign service officers with domestic assignments. It's according to internal department communication reviewed by ABC News. It's part of the Trump administration's effort to restructure the federal government, and all this was green-lighted this week by the Supreme Court. And the deputy director of the FBI, an outspoken supporter of President Trump, said to be weighing his future at the Bureau, given how the Trump administration's ruled out further releases of information about Jeffrey Epstein.
Sources tell ABC News that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino had what's described as a fiery confrontation with the Attorney General over how Pam Bondi has handled the review of the Jeffrey Epstein investigations. The confrontation followed Monday's memo issued jointly by the Justice Department and the FBI, stating that there would be no further releases from the Epstein files. In 2023, when he was a podcast and radio host, Bongino told his audience that the Washington swamp wasn't telling the public the truth about Epstein.
That's Stephen Portnoy and the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over by the airport, got a crash reportedly on the right shoulder, 40 westbound, just before Briley Parkway. Then in Berry Hill, a crash partially blocking the right on-ramp lane. That is going to be 65 northbound from Armory Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, sometimes things come along that just you're a winner all the way around. Think of this as insurance for electricity, right? You buy life insurance, you buy automobile insurance, you buy health insurance. What about electricity insurance? That's truly what a home generator from Premier Generac Generators is, because the time will come, whether it's happened recently or not, where the electricity will go off. And we live in a day and time where you need the electricity on to get information. Perhaps you need it for health purposes. They offer a free consultation. Know this, not only will you get electricity insurance through your Generac generator in your home, which is the best on the market today, and Premier Generators, they are the #1 Generac dealer in the state of Tennessee, but you're also improving the value of your home when you add a Premier Generator to it. Go to premiergenerators.com, or better yet, give them a call and talk to one of their agents today. Like I say, free consultation and never any high-pressure sales tactics. Here's the number, 855-797-4766. 797-4766. That's 855, toll-free, 797-4766. Tell them Murphy sent you.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
Matt Murphy Show. I hope you're off. I hope the weekend is here for you. If so, congratulations. We thank the first responders, the police officers, the emergency workers like the EMTs, nurses, doctors, even the restaurateurs, the bar owners, the people that work in the convenience stores, all of you weekend warriors. For those of us that enjoy a day or two off on the weekends, those of you that make our weekends not only feasible, possible, but pleasurable, we thank you, weekend warriors, and we appreciate you so much. 39 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Getting to nincompoops in the news momentarily. Back to your calls coming up after that. I'm being asked what is going on 24 westbound coming into Murfreesboro.
24 westbound coming into Murfreesboro. Let's see here.
I mean, is that like down in Manchester y'all talking about? Or
I see that we got a crash 24 eastbound at Epps Mill Road. That wouldn't be going in to Murfreesboro eastbound. That'd be leaving. But maybe there's some looky-loos. Let me look down there.
That dadgum looky-loos.
Those old looky-loos.
I mean, you can't help those looky-loos. Yeah, we had thank you, by the way, to Ken Weaver and the rest of the staff at Super Talk 99.7 WTN while Ken's looking for the looky-loos. Thank you, Ken, because I was getting in my automobile, letting it cool off a little bit, making my way from MJ, Mount Juliet, over to downtown on the dead end of Music Row where our radio station is. And I heard Ken Weaver talking about this tumped-over 18-wheeler that had tumped this morning right on the bottom side of the loop and was creating a quag there on the entrance ramp to the loop from 40 westbound. And I got to avoid the situation because of you, Ken. Thank you.
You're welcome, Brother Murphy. I was thinking about you when I did that.
Yeah, well, I thought you might.
I bet you Brother Murphy's getting ready to head.
Oh, yeah. I swooped over on Stewart's Ferry and cut on over to 70, and it was smooth sailing all the way into downtown Nashville, Tennessee.
Brother, I can't see anything. I'm not seeing anything down there in Murfreesboro, 24 at Epps Mill Road.
Well, there you go. So to answer your question, 2919, you asked what's going on westbound 24 coming into Murfreesboro? Smooth sailing. That's what's going on.
I mean, it may not be. I mean, but I'm looking at the T-Dot cameras and I'm not seeing anything.
Well, 9901 says, Ken, normal traffic in Murfreesboro. Well, that's a loaded statement there.
Yeah, I know what he means. That means there's 3,000 people in front of you at every intersection.
Y'all notice, by the way, Ken was out dealing with his AC for one day, and then he was home working day number 2, still dealing with that air conditioner. But when we welcomed him back at 3 o'clock, we said, oh, so glad to have you back. Ken said, oh, it's nice to see you, Brother Murphy. It's nice to see Jackson. It's nice to be here. Never mentioned 24 once, I noticed. Not once.
Didn't have to worry about 24 yesterday.
No, that's a little bit of a benefit. All right, 42 after the hour. We do it every day at this time. You know what the news is. It's time to find those nincompoops. Come on now.
Nincompoops in the news.
That's right. They're all over. They're thick as thieves, these nincompoops. We always find at least 3 a day. We present them to you on a daily basis, Ken Weaver, Jackson Williams, and myself. And then you get to vote on the nincompoop of the day, whether it be Ken or Jackson or me. I was the winner yesterday, believe it or not. Cannot believe that I won with that story. It was a backup story because Jackson had mine.
Yeah, Jackson.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah.
Yeah, the couple making whoopee there in the RV.
In the RV, that's right.
Making whoopee.
Well,
come on.
Hey, you need to. That's old school. Oh, what was his name on the Newlywed Game?
I can't remember.
Oh, what was his name?
The like
Bob, but it wasn't no. Remember the Newlywed Game? That's where he
You got a jock like this, had a great radio voice.
Where's your favorite place to make whoopee?
I remember that guy, but I can't remember his name. I was a kid then.
There was an old, we will not get into it because I don't know if there are little pictures in vehicles or whatever, and I try to be good, believe it or not. But there was an old wives' tale about a portion of that show that never made it to air. About where's the weirdest place you've made whoopee?
Bob Eubanks.
Bob Eubanks. There it is. Oh, I love it. Love it. And one of the answers that he got to that question never made it to air, but it does exist, and you can find it online, and it is true.
Really?
Where I can't tell you. I can't say it on there. I wish I could. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
What can't you say?
Hush your mouth, Jackson.
What was that?
That's one of those if you know, you know. I mean, they meant like in the backyard or in the kitchen, and
we're still talking about whoopee.
Yeah, making whoopee.
And the person responding thought it was a different type of question, and they answered it differently. And
anyway,
all right, I get to go first because I won yesterday, and you guys get to work out who goes second.
Do it, brother.
Let's see. I got two to choose from, and I'm going to go with number one. A beer thief in Oklahoma. I do this just for you, Ken.
All right.
Beer thief in Oklahoma knew just when enough was enough. Sadly, he got trapped and he had nowhere else to go, so he decided to make the best of his time. According to multiple local reports, a man from Oklahoma smashed out the doors of a Quick Trip gas station to steal some beer over the weekend. The man was identified as Jose Silvero, who was eventually arrested and faces charges relating to felony vandalism and petite larceny. He attempted to flee, but somehow in his vehicle, he ended up crashing into the Quick Trip store. Put the car, thought it was in reverse. He was in drive and went right into the store. He was then cornered by patrons in the store and realized he had nowhere else to go.
Citizens arrest.
It was a citizens arrest, citizens arrest. So while witnesses surrounded him, he decided to sit down next to the cold beer cave, and he popped himself open a couple of cold ones and waited for the police to arrive.
That might as well.
He had up to according to eyewitnesses, several beers before police officers arrived at the scene and apprehended him. And I don't know if he's a nincompoop or not, because you know what? I mean, I guess he's a nincompoop for stealing all these beers, which is why he qualifies. But you know what? Good on him.
Respect for just kind of taking it and having a couple of beers while you wait.
Got a little respect for that, right? You know what? Let's just pop one of these Cayman Jacks and see what they taste like.
I'm going to jail anyway. Might as well enjoy it.
You have one of those Cayman Jacks?
Cayman Jack.
It's like a margarita.
Ooh, they're pretty good.
They are pretty good. Real sweet. Ken, speaking of beer, before y'all go, I had myself, it was called a PB&J Sour.
Yes.
Have you had this?
I have.
I had it over at, we ate at 312 Pizzeria, which is like a Chicago-style pizzeria in Germantown, and the service was tip-top. Anyway, give them a little hat tip. And I got that thing. Ooh, good.
Well, I take that back. Mine wasn't a sour, but it was just like a PB&J. And, I mean, it tasted like I was drinking a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, yeah, no question.
But I was catching a buzz while I was doing it.
Exactly. This had the peanut butter on the front end, and the sour came in with the jelly on the back end. Oh, so good. Tasty. I highly recommend. Gentlemen, who's next?
Go ahead, Brother Jackson.
All right, we're headed up to Hopkinsville for this one. A naked man arrested after banging on door of Hopkinsville home overnight. A man has been arrested after causing a disturbance overnight in a Hopkinsville neighborhood while not wearing any clothes. An arrest report from the Hopkinsville Police Department says officers responded to a disturbance at the 1700 block of South Campbell Street around 3 a.m. on July 8th. Officers were advised that a naked male was banging on doors of residences in the neighborhood. The suspect, 33-year-old Christopher Price, was located with his genitals exposed, wearing only socks on his feet. According to Hopkinsville PD, the suspect was yelling, causing annoyance and alarm to nearby residents. At the time, the suspect told officers that he had snakes on him, also disclosing that he had just...
I got some snakes on me!
That he had just left rehab.
Oh.
He was suspected of being under the influence of drugs. Price is facing 3 charges, including public intoxication of a controlled substance, disorderly conduct, and indecent exposure.
Officer Johnson here, dispatch. We got a gentleman, genitals exposed. Oh yeah, they're exposed.
We've got an exposure on the 1700 block.
He says he's got snakes on him, and I can see his.
And that's being generous.
Son, will you put your sock where God intended it? Stop exposing yourself.
Wearing only his socks.
Hey, well, got to keep your feet warm, Ken.
There's bugs. You can get a bug on your foot.
I got snakes on me. I mean, there's meth involved. I mean,
yeah.
No
there's
question.
all kinds of stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Ken Weaver, your nincompoop, sir.
A naked man who tried to steal a car in Raleigh, North Carolina earlier this week facing numerous charges. On Thursday, police identified the naked suspect as 32-year-old Dominique Cortez Jennings. Around 2:20 p.m. on Tuesday, Raleigh police officers responded to a suspicious person in the 4100 block of Atlantic Avenue. According to 2 witnesses at the scene, Jennings was seen walking around while holding a wooden post, completely naked. Witnesses said Jennings approached one of them who had just left and locked his vehicle, demanding access to the car and for the witness to drop everything he was carrying. When the witness complied, Jennings hit him with the wooden post anyway.
Oh, sure.
According to their account of the incident, Jennings then approached to the other witness who was sitting in her car eating lunch and struck her in the arm with the post. He then pulled her out of the car, tried to drive away, but was unable to shift the car out of park. After being unsuccessful in the attempt, Jennings ran into a wooded area nearby and hid in a storage unit. Police responded using canine officers and drones to locate him for several hours.
Dadgum.
Investigators said Jennings was later found near an apartment complex. A CBS 17 crew on scene reported seeing him getting taken away in an ambulance in the custody of law enforcement without incident. So he faces a bunch of charges, but interesting enough, nothing like indecent exposure or anything like that.
Well,
Maybe
he didn't feel like he had snakes on him.
Did he hit her with a wooden post or his wooden post?
That's a good question there, Brother Jackson. Because, yeah.
No clarification on the ownership of the post in question.
No clarification on that.
See what I did there?
I do.
Oh, yeah. We got it. We got you.
That's kind of like whenever President Clinton said it all depends on what the definition of it is.
That's right. I never had sexual relations with that woman. You wanted yourself a cigar.
That's how we do it on Nincompoops in the News. All you have to do is vote. 615-737-9986. By the way, several of you are asking me about Dan Mandis and the raccoon. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Know.
Do you know?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to clarify this in just a moment because it might necessitate an emergency telephone call to the host of Nashville's Morning News because I'm pro raccoon. I don't even care what's happening. We'll do that next on Super Talk.
Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking. I lost 70 pounds and my friend lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months.
Wow, what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99.
Woo!
Pastor and author J.C. Ryle once said, contrary to popular belief, hell is not a place God sends only the worst of the worst. Hell is our default destination. What that means is we need someone to save us, or we stand before God condemned to hell. But we cannot save ourselves. Only God can do that. Ephesians 2:8 and 9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not as a result of works, so that no one may boast." Jesus Christ placed all believers' sins upon himself and died to pay for those sins. Why did he have to die, though? Because Scripture explicitly says the wages of sin is death. Wages means the same as payment, so payment for sin is death. There are no second chances to accept Christ and avoid hell after you die. So if you feel a prompting in your heart, it may be God drawing you. Scan the QR code to learn more.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, tools, home essentials, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through July 18th. Not a rewards member? Join for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
We'll tell you about another kind of driving hazard in Middle Tennessee. It involves insects that have started hatching. We'll tell you about it at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver was going to teach me something, and I was reading something else while the break was happening, and now I've forgotten what Ken was going to teach me.
Oh, you were asking me about Dan Mandis and the raccoon.
Oh, yeah. So several people are like, hey, do you have an update on Dan Mandis and the raccoon? And another person was like, hey, Murphy, you need to talk to Dan. We know you love raccoons, and you support pet ownership, or the ability of people in Tennessee to own raccoons as pets. Dan Mandis is talking crazy talk. What is Mandis talking about?
Well, according to Brother Chad, he had a conversation with Dan. Dan apparently is getting frustrated by the raccoons getting into his trash.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about how he was going to kill a raccoon.
What?
And then I said, with his bare hands? And it just kind of went from there.
Dan Mandis might kill a raccoon, but I don't believe. One, I don't think it's a good idea to try to do that with your bare hands.
No.
But number two, I would strongly encourage Dan to go ahead and use the skills that he's learned from the Glock store, because if Dan takes on a raccoon with his bare hands, I mean, I think my money's going on the raccoon. I mean, I think a raccoon would. I mean, hell, if I took on a raccoon with my bare hands, I think my money might go on the raccoon.
Well, and let's say Dan starts struggling with the raccoon. What if the raccoon is friends with that snapping turtle that showed up in front of his house the other day?
I mean, if all God's creatures in Dan Mandis's vicinity decided to turn on him, if they got organized,
yeah,
they'd take down the whole Mandis household. Well, except for Amy.
No.
Murphy, if you
Amy
took
wouldn't
on
put
the
up with it.
raccoon, wouldn't it be with your bare hand at this point?
That's true. That's a good point, Jackson. I got no shot at it. All the raccoon would have to do is take his little 5-fingered opposable thumb paw and put light touch on my left shoulder, and I'd be out. I'd tap out. It would tap out immediately.
I think you're right. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, you got dogs, though.
No, I do. And,
Miss Beasley might.
Ms. Beasley would go after. I mean, although, you know what? She won't go down the groundhog hole. So,
well,
I don't know. Ms. Beasley.
She'll give you a side eye.
She barks a good bark, but I don't know that she's all that tough, truth be told.
Yeah.
I just need, I think it's illegal to kill raccoons, Dan. I want to say that they are protected by the state of Tennessee. They're the state wild animal, if I'm not mistaken, or wild mammal, if I'm not mistaken, which, by the way, reminds me, if Tennessee wanted to lead the nation in something, we should name during our General Assembly in the next session, you know what should be our state mammal in the state of Tennessee? The domesticated dog. Did you know that I don't believe there's any state in the United States of America that has the domesticated dog as their state mammal? And with that, I mean, what creature gives more to humanity than the dog?
There is not one.
I don't think there is either. Today, on July 11th, something pretty important in American history happened 221 years ago today. I will tell you what that was, and I'll give you the deets coming up next.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And heads up in Nashville this weekend. The Korean Veterans Bridge is going to be closed all day Sunday for the filming of a scene for that new 911 Nashville TV show. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Here's another driving hazard in Middle Tennessee. Mayflies. They've started hatching and apparently taking over parts of the area in recent weeks. They don't bite, but there's enough of them in a swarm that can cause problems for drivers, like making it hard to see. And then there's this. Their guts squished on the road make for slick spots. A son of top Mexican drug trafficking boss El Chapo has pleaded guilty to U.S. drug trafficking charges in Chicago. ABC's Chuck Severson tells us.
He is the first of El Chapo's sons facing similar drug trafficking charges to enter a plea deal. Guilty to drug trafficking, money laundering, and firearms charges tied to his leadership role in the Sinaloa cartel. A video, Guzman Lopez previously pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors allege a video with his brother Joaquin, known as the Little Chapos, ran a faction of the cartel that exported fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana to the U.S.
In our nation's capital, up to 3,000 federal workers getting laid off starting today. They're in the State Department as part of a mass reorganization of the federal agency, which the Supreme Court green-lighted this week. And in Kerrville, Texas, President Trump and the First Lady visiting in the wake of deadly flooding.
The people here, first responders, the sheriff's office, all of the police, law enforcement, they've done an unbelievable job.
And the First Lady?
My deepest sympathy to all of the parents who lost beautiful young souls. Deepest sympathy from all of us to the community, to everybody who lost a loved one.
At least 121 people have died in the Texas flood as first responders continue to try to search the rubble for more victims. A life and death moment in South River, New Jersey, Monday. Police responding to a call find 1-year-old Joseph lifeless in his father's arms, unable to breathe. 2 officers attempt to resuscitate the toddler. ABC's Allison Kosick tells us what happened next.
Officer Nicholas Swineford arrives. He grabs Joseph, flips him over, and keeps going.
Flip the child over and started to do back blows until another officer is available.
The officers taking turns, using every ounce of their strength to force the obstruction out. Finally, their efforts pay off.
We did hear something, kind of clearing up.
An ambulance arrives. Now, Joseph is back in his father's grateful arms, this time awake and breathing just fine.
Good job. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Berry Hill got a crash right. It looks like the right on-ramp lane is blocked. 65 northbound from Armory Drive. In Almaville, we got a crash. 840 eastbound past Almaville Road. And then in Christiana, a crash reported. 24 eastbound at Epps Mill Road. And back up here in Nashville, Antioch specifically, got a crash reported 24 westbound just past Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we are. Here we go. It is hour number 3. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Hour number 4 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show. I got behind myself. 7 minutes past on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad you are with us. Thank you so much for your time and consideration today. We've got one more hour to go. We'll hand things off to Mark Levin at that time, and we'll call it a weekend, friends. I have several updates for you. One, I'm going to relate to you what happened on this day, July 11th. Any guesses there, Jackson?
I'm going to say it's the day the Declaration of Independence was signed.
That's not a very good guess.
Does it have something to do with that era?
Well, I mean, yeah, it happened in 1804. I did tell you that it was 221 years ago on July 11, 1804. I bet Ken Weaver would know. I bet he could venture a decent enough guess. Anyway, how about this? How about it has in modern America, if I said it has something to do with peanut butter and got milk.
Was it the War of 1812?
What? It was in 1804. Was it something that led up to the War of 1812?
They just fought for a really long time, Murphy.
You don't remember that commercial, do you? You remember the commercial that launched the Got Milk campaign, Ken?
I don't remember that. I remember the Got Milk campaign.
Well, the one that launched the Got Milk campaign was a commercial about a guy who's sitting there. He's about to get him a big old bite of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And he's sitting in a room with all of this historical paraphernalia. He's got a gun and he's got a bullet and there's photographs of a famous duel. And on the radio, they said, okay, and it's time for our grand trivia question. And I forget the prize, so I'll make something up. The winner of this will win $10,000. And we're going to call the person right now. And he calls the guy's phone, and the guy's just taking a big old bite of peanut butter. And he goes, who shot Alexander Hamilton? And the guy said, he goes, I'm sorry, sir, I can't understand you. I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying. And this guy's like the Aaron Burr expert, and he can't say Aaron Burr. And then the end of the commercial is, got milk? It's a pretty good commercial. Y'all go back and see it. Anyway,
I remember that time.
Aaron Burr was the individual that dueled with Alexander Hamilton, and you may know the outcome of that story. And the outcome was Aaron Burr, his name was permanently tarnished in political circles, and he never served in political office again. And Alexander Hamilton was shot in the stomach and died the next day. But I'm going to give you some of the background on that story. Before I do, however, and Jackson, maybe look up the commercial. Look up Got Milk, Aaron Burr, and let's see how close I got.
Aaron Burr, isn't he in Hamilton?
Thank you for participating in the program, Jackson. Yes, Aaron Burr. I don't know. I've never seen the musical Hamilton, but he was involved.
Really good.
He was involved heavily in Alexander Hamilton's life in as much as he killed him. So,
I haven't seen the ending.
Sorry, spoiler alert. Aaron Burr shot in a duel and killed Alexander Hamilton. But while you're looking for that, so
is that what happened on July 11th, 1804?
That is correct.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very good. I have an update from Dan Mandis on Raccoon Gate.
What Brother Dan Mandis say?
So I said, hey, Dan, at 6:01, I said, you didn't shoot a raccoon, did you? In response, I got 2 question marks. No. Why do you ask that? LOL. And I said, something y'all talked about on the radio. Super texters are telling me to ask you about it. Oh, yeah. The official state animal is a racchio. And then raccoon. I said, is it getting into your trash? He said, it's based on Daniel Boone's hat, so a dead raccoon is our state animal. And yes, it's getting into my damn trash. We're now putting rocks in all capital letters. We're now putting rocks on our trash can because I can't kill a living thing. And I said, you could trap it because I want to encourage this behavior. And he said, or I could just put a rock on my trash can, which is apparently what he's doing now. So I mean,
what does the rock do?
It keeps the raccoon out of the trash.
What if it's a really strong raccoon?
Well, I mean, if the raccoon gets organized with other raccoons, I've seen this happen. Raccoons will organize, and if they are smart creatures, and they will if they realize it's the rock that's keeping them from it, they'll get together and figure out a way to get rid of that rock eventually. They're smart animals. But I would encourage, Dan, if you're listening, they have traps, and you can rent them, if I'm not mistaken. The Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency might be able to help you out. And you set these traps, and then you got a raccoon in a trap, and then
have it as a pet.
You could have it as a pet, or you could take it out to a woodland area far, far away from your home and release it.
I just imagine all these raccoons in like a battle meeting in like a hollowed out log of a tree.
I have, to be such a raccoon supporter as I am, I have a fairly traumatic raccoon story in my past.
Did you get bit?
I did not get bit, but it is difficult for me to tell the story in a way that can possibly relate the sheer number of raccoons that I'm about to tell you about. But when I was in college, I went to West Georgia College. It was long before it was a university. It was West Georgia. But my buddy Wayne, and my two buddies, Wayne and Chris, and myself, took a trip down to West Palm Beach to go to a couple of Atlanta Braves preseason games. It was just an excuse to, get away from it all during spring break. It was a fairly cheap excursion, and we decided to stay in state parks and camp along the way as a way to cut down on expenses. And one of the camps that we went to was a camp in Florida, and there weren't a lot of people at the campground. And we just had like a big 4-man tent that we would set up, and we had, a little, Coleman stove that we would cook on, et cetera. And we'd sit around the campfire and drink and, scratch ourselves and tell stories until bedtime. Well, we had been only one day in this campground, and we noticed that the campground was unreasonably empty of people. Very wooded campground, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And so the dusk became night, and it got around time for bedtime. And as we went to bed, and as the fire died out in the fireplace or in the campfire, we started hearing noise. What seemed to be a lot of noise, like enough noise that it sounded like several large bear were making the noise. And so we got up to investigate what was making the noise. And apparently we had camped exactly where the Raccoon Ho Chi Minh Trail was in this state park. Because we encountered, upon leaving the tent, I don't know, as soon as I turned on the flashlight, I probably could have counted 20 raccoons. Raccoons? What would you guess? Raccoons or raccoon?
What about rakai?
The plural of raccoon would be rakai?
Rakai, I like that.
Okay, sure. Raccoonuses. So we started looking around because everywhere there were raccoons. Everywhere. We sat on the cement picnic table in darkness and relative silence, and we looked around the trees, and there were raccoons everywhere, as if they were mounting an assault on the human being.
An attack.
I slept not a wink that night. There were no less than in the trees, on the ground, approaching our tent, I would suggest to you 250 raccoons. There were enough raccoons where 18-year-old, 19-year-old Matt Murphy, I'm like, we need to leave. We need to get out of here. I mean, I was an advocate for we need to pack our crap and leave.
This is their park.
Yeah, we are about to get attacked and eaten by raccoons.
Did you?
No. Thankfully, it did not happen, but I got no sleep that night. Not a bit.
I think they've scared you into submission.
And we did ask the next morning as we were leaving to go to the baseball, to the West Palm Beach baseball facility. We asked one of the park rangers. It's like, hey, do y'all have a raccoon problem? And you know what he said? Not a problem for me.
Might be a problem for you.
Probably a problem for you if you're camping out there. Isn't that great? Anyway, that's our raccoon story. We'll get to the Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton story coming up in just a moment. Plus, some things a little closer to home and a little more recent, like the president of Glass House Farms, the cannabis farm that federal immigration authorities raided in California yesterday, despite protests, apparently has donated thousands of dollars to Democrats in California, as you might expect. Co-founder, president, and board director Graham Farrar, who self-identifies on social media as residing in Santa Barbara, California, made numerous political donations to the Santa Barbara Democratic Central Committee and their Federal Action Committee. According to public campaign records, he also donated $10,000 to California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom in 2018. And his most recent political donation was to California Democrat Assembly member Greg Hart in July of 2023. In other words, he is a Dem from way back. Rioters, you might remember, and it's been well reported on our station and many other media platforms, violent rioters clashed with federal immigration officers yesterday after U.S. Customs and Border Patrol raided 2 Southern California cannabis farms, one of which I just mentioned, and they're now under investigation for child labor violations. So let me get this straight. So liberals, y'all can be all pouty and mad all you want about the rule of law when it comes to immigration and customs enforcement. 10 illegal alien minors, 8 of whom were unaccompanied, were rescued from the Camarillo Glass House Farm, according to U.S. Customs and Border Commissioner Rodney Scott. So Democrats are now in favor of child labor, illegal child labor. These are underage children that were working these farms, and you're telling me the Democrats are in support of this? Apparently so. The Department of Homeland Security arrested dozens of illegal aliens during the raid and arrested multiple individuals for impeding the operation. According to Tom Homan, as he has said multiple times in the past, people are welcome to protest, but they can't impede us from doing our job. It's a felony. What happened in California, just another example of protesters becoming criminals. They've been emboldened by members of Congress who sadly compare ICE to Nazis. Correct, sir. 100%. More on this story, your thoughts on it in just a moment. Josh has a little bit of history for us, and I'm going to give you some history, too, on the Aaron Burr. This happened July 11th, 1804. Aaron Burr and Alexander. You know, there was a time in American history where duels were acceptable. I guess maybe not as acceptable as Aaron Burr would have believed. In the meantime, 6442 says, are y'all sure you weren't just smoking too much of that stuff and you didn't, and you just saw the raccoons in your mind? No, there were, I'm telling you. We turned on a flashlight, and there were hundreds. There might have been thousands of raccoons. Thousands of raccoons.
The raccoon army.
I mean, 9587 said, OMG, we stayed at a park on a kayak trip. Was it the same park? Don't mess with me, 9587. This was a park, a Florida State park near West Palm Beach. And 9587 is saying, we stayed at that park on a kayak trip. They unzipped the tent. No, they were scratching at our tent. They unzipped the tent, ate a full loaf of bread, unscrewed the lid from a thing of protein powder, and tossed it all over the tent. DeSoto, Fort DeSoto, I think this is the same place. And this guy said, confirming my story, turned on the headlamp, thousands of tiny eyes. We did too, all in the trees, just thousands of little tiny eyes with little opposable thumbs staring back at you. 21 after the hour on Super Talk. Folks, Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. You know by now that I encourage you to contact Brink Fiddler and Defend Systems. They do great work in our community and all across the Southeast and really all across the United States of America, helping you understand what active shooters can and cannot do. They are your physical security experts for a dangerously developing world. But I also want to remind you, I don't do this enough, about God-Fearing Gun Owners. It is a website owned by Brink Fiddler, and he has a lot of apparel at God-Fearing Gun Owners, and I invite you to go over there and check that out while you're perusing the internet and while you go over to defensesystems.com. Honestly, if you're a decision maker in a place of business, if you're a decision maker at a school or a church, you need Brink and his team in your life. Give them a call today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or online at defensesystems.com. Indeed, 26 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get to Ken Weaver momentarily. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Pleased you've decided to join us on this Friday edition. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time, a little bit of your Friday evening with us. We'll get to telephone calls momentarily, 615-737-9986. Several of you have asked me to update you on this, and I will do so. So if you missed it, Representative Gloria Johnson has been dodging our radio show for, years. We have repeatedly, I take all comers on this show. I would love to have more Democrats that are willing to come on. Sadly, Democrats cannot defend their position in a spirited debate on policy and ideas. It is all too rare that these individuals have the ability to defend their positions. They're just there to fearmonger and to ultimately lie about the state of affairs in the state of Tennessee and beyond. And I would categorize Gloria Johnson as one of those people. Oh, she shoots her mouth off on social media quite a bit. She shoots her mouth off on the X machine quite a bit. But she will not come on and defend her position on any number of issues on this radio show. despite the number of listeners that we have in Middle Tennessee, and we have a lot of them. Thank you for that. She refuses. So it was that recently she was popping her mouth off about Congressman Tim Burchett, a good friend of the show, regarding Medicaid and what the ramifications of what is the big, beautiful law now will be on Medicaid across the state and across the country. And she ultimately said that anybody that supports this type of stuff, you're supporting, grandma getting killed and pregnant mothers being pulled off of their health care and all of these sorts of things that simply will not happen. And she called out Tim Burchett, who is a congressman in Middle Tennessee and a congressman in Knoxville, for his support of the big, beautiful bill, saying that he was going to result in the death of thousands of people and the closure of hospitals. And so I invited Congressman Burchett and Gloria Johnson on the radio show to have a discussion about Medicaid, specifically the changes in Medicaid under the BBB. We had Congressman Tim Burchett on Monday, asked him about it. He agreed to come on, said, of course he will. We have invited Gloria Johnson on the show. And I thought after Monday's program that maybe we could provide her a new level of incentive for appearing on the broadcast. So with that in mind, I decided to offer Gloria Johnson $1,000 of my own money to a non-political charity of her choosing in her name if she's willing to make an appearance on the Matt Murphy Show for an hour with Congressman Tim Burchett, offering her position on Medicaid as it exists today, as it will change under the big, beautiful bill, and what she believes the ramifications will be for Tennessee citizens who are in need of Medicaid. Thus far, we have not heard anything back. However, brand new update, our charitable donation, because many of you have now written in with matching money. I offered an initial $1,000. I've had one anonymous donor that has matched my $1,000. I've had several donors that have offered $500 and many, many listeners who have offered $50 or $100. And I have made the totals. I'm not keeping names, but y'all know who you are, and I trust you in your pledges. But we are now up to $4,100. $4,100. All of the money collected will go to a non-political charity of Gloria Johnson's choosing. And I say non-political because I'm not giving money to the Democrat Party. I'm not giving money to Planned Parenthood. I'm not giving money to some of those organizations that I disagree with. But anything else is fair game. Pet-related charity, children's charity, health-related, cancer, whatever. Just anything non-political. Gloria, it's up to you. All you have to do is come on air for an hour on the Matt Murphy Radio Show with Tim Burchett. We're not going to submarine you. We'll let you talk. It will be a pleasant enough conversation. All you have to do is defend your viewpoint. That's a lot of money to charity, Gloria. So y'all hit her up on social media. It's at Vote Gloria J on the X machine. She's out there trolling around, doing her thing. And let her know that she's invited and you would love to see her on the show. We certainly would. I'll keep you updated over the weekend and into next week because I'm not letting this go. Not by a long shot. It's 30 after the hour. Time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, 2805, you should call me, man. Well, 2805 takes exception with my characterization of what happened at the weed farm in California as child labor. 2805 saying it was homeless 16 and 17-year-olds. Rhonda Santee, is that Ron DeSantis, is wanting 14-year-olds to work in farms in Florida. See the difference? Yeah, well, I do see a lot of difference. I guess you're going to issue a correction. I guess you're not going to issue a correction on that story about the 16 and 17-year-olds at the weed farm that were given a home, clothes, food, and a little doobie on the side. If you were a 16 or 17-year-old migrant, you mean illegal alien, by the way, with no money, no place to go, and a marijuana farm gives you a job, a roof over your head, a little bit of bud to smoke, you're telling me you wouldn't take that? You know what you sound like, 2805? You sound like people who defended slavery back in the day. We give them a roof over their head. We give them food to eat. And they really like it. That's what you sound like. That's what you sound like. Well, we can't find anybody else to do the work. I mean, they're just indentured servants is all. No big deal. And they're, 15, 16, whatever. We don't know. No big deal. Weird, man. Watching liberals defend these practices, it gets weirder and weirder. Alan is next up with a thought on raccoons. Hello, Alan.
Hang tight. I got to get it off speakerphone.
Oh, man, you're good. Yeah, take your time. Be safe.
Hey. You had said something about raccoons earlier. I've got a little bit of a skunk problem. I'm hoping somebody can give me some advice. I've got a skunk living in my culvert in my front yard, and I'm attempting to trap and or kill it, but every time I go outside at night, I can't spot it with night vision or anything like that. But when we pull in the driveway late at night, it sprays our cars, so it's kind of getting on my nerves. And I had a dog kill a skunk 2 years ago, and I sure don't want that again.
Oh, boy, I bet. How long did it take for that skunk smell to get off the dog?
About 4 days. I think we washed it in baking soda and Dawn like 17 times.
Oh, gracious. So you've got well, if anybody has any advice, I don't pretend to know how to deal with that problem. I don't know enough about skunks to give you any advice, Alan, but I know that we've got a loyal listening audience, and many of them are very astute in these areas. So if you're listening, I'll just put the word out. So the skunk's in the culvert. You can't really get sight of the skunk. You just smell it.
No, it's there. I have actually contemplated taking the backside of my weed eater / trimmer and throwing the exhaust side in the culvert and waiting for it to exit the other side during the daytime. But I'm afraid if I kill it, it'll expel its not exactly bowels, but scent glands, and then I'll have to smell it for 4 or 5 days.
The odd thing about skunks, and this is unrelated to your call, I am told that if they get de-scented, that they make pretty good pets.
I've heard the same.
And that's what I've been told, but you got to descent them. There's no question about that. I'll kind of leave it to the listening audience. Maybe we'll have somebody that's a little more aware. So the idea is to get this you want to flush the skunk out. Well, you got to do something that'll get it out, but not enough that it will make it, explode, if you will.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, you might have to deal with that explosion in order to permanently handle the situation, sad to say.
I've got the same exact feeling. The only thing I can think of is to force it out one side of the culvert into a trap and maybe cover the trap with a sheet so it doesn't spray me when it sees me walking up to get rid of it. But I'm afraid if I kill it, it'll lose its bowels like any other animal does.
I've never personally experienced it, but the people that have say that is, and your story about your dog is another one that it is a smell that soap just does not wash off.
Exactly. I know one night we thought our dogs were sick, and they both came to the back door. There was a dead skunk in the backyard that I had to dispose of several days later. But both dogs were vomiting, and we thought they were sick. No, they just got sprayed by a skunk.
All right, I've already gotten some suggestions, and these are, worth the money that we're paying for them, Alan, but 3879 says your typical Tractor Supply would have live traps, and you can use tuna as an attraction. Another person says tannerite works great on skunks.
Yeah, but you got to be there to shoot the tannerite when they get close.
Yeah, and then 8154 said if you leave moth mothballs in the culvert, the skunk will leave. Huh? That might be worth. That might be worth a shot. Yeah, that might be worth a shot.
Mothballs are cheap.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if it doesn't work, you're only out, whatever, $3-4.
How much do you think? How much do you think a dissenting costs? Like a procedure
to descent a skunk?
Yeah, that can't be cheap.
I don't know. It's got to be pretty expensive. You have to do it while they're early. Hey, Alan, check that mothball and keep listening. I'll tell you if anybody else calls in with any other suggestions, and let us know how it goes. Okay.
All right, Tim.
All right, man. Thank you, Alan. Yeah, I'd love to have a skunk. I think it'd be fun. You got to descent it though. Well, type that into the Google machine. How much to descent a skunk? See what you get. Patrick says skunks love grape jelly on toast. Put it in a trap and trap him. Okay, Patrick, it begs the question how you know that. I mean, Matt Murphy loves grape jelly on toast, but I'm not going into a trap for that. You need a $130 Z-trap from Amazon, writes 4543. Alan says he'll have to bring in a predator, just shoot the damn thing and deal with the stink for 4 or 5 days. That's probably what we're talking about. What's up with the descenting there?
So it can cost anywhere from $150 to $500, but it's hard to find a vet who will take on the procedure.
That's odd. Well,
is it odd?
Maybe not. So 1385, you learn something new every day on this radio show. A lot of times I'm the guy that's doing the teaching, and sometimes I'm the guy that's doing the learning. But 1385 is telling me that mothballs are against the law and harmful to the environment. What? There's a joke. There's a joke about mothballs, and I'm not going to tell it.
Tell the joke.
I'm not. I can't. I don't think I can remember it, but I remember the punchline.
Would we be fired if you told the joke?
Probably not fired, but we would have to go into the office and sit down and be explained to us that sometimes the payoff is, the juice, as they say, is not worth the squeeze, as the saying goes.
Have we not already had one of those?
I can't imagine why we haven't. Stephanie maybe has a thought on. Stephanie, are mothballs illegal?
They're not illegal. They're extremely toxic.
Okay.
Not just to the skunks, but to dogs, cats, everything else that's out there. I don't think they're illegal, but we don't advise using mothballs. The other problem is that skunk may have babies nearby. So if you trap the skunk, the babies now may be doomed. The thing about skunks, though, they typically don't spray unless they're cornered. So I think it was just Hendersonville or Portland the other day, a maintenance worker got a skunk out of a net. He had nothing to protect himself, and it didn't spray him, and it took off running once it was loose. But, it could be that something else is spraying the vehicles, like a stray cat maybe. And again, you have to be careful when you relocate wildlife because they may not be able to survive because they don't know where the food sources are. They don't know where the shelters are. I know it's frustrating, but we kind of have to learn how to
cohabitate at some point. Yeah, I mean, but a skunk living nearby. I mean, we've got a groundhog in the backyard too, as a matter of fact, and we we just let them do their thing because we don't have gardens or whatever. But, a skunk might be a little bit different if you have to deal with that smell from time to time. Patrick says that they've trapped over 11 skunks with the peanut butter and jelly bait. So, grape jelly on toast. That's what his trick is. So who knows? Thank you for the info on the mothballs. I appreciate it. I remembered the joke, by the way.
Somebody in the chat told the joke.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I'm not going to read it.
I mean, the front end of the joke is, have you ever smelled mothballs?
I haven't.
And I'm not telling the punchline.
I thought you were going to do it.
Have you heard the punchline?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, then you know that I'm not going to say the punchline. Gene's, I don't know where all I want to do is get to 7 o'clock without talking about politics again. And Gene's going to help me do that. Hey, Gene.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great, Gene. Thank you for calling.
All right. So you're talking about, I just walked in from mowing my lawn, and I heard squirrels, how to get rid of squirrels. I bought a squirrel cage. It cost $35. You open the door, in the back you stick either, you can put chicken butts or just pieces of chicken, something like that. And I catch them all the time, and it's just like a cat. I mean, they're literally, you could walk right up to it nice and slow. They won't spray you. But then what I do is I'll throw like a piece of plastic over the cage. I'll put it in the back of my truck. I drive it over to Ellington Agricultural, and I just release it down by the river, and that's that. I catch them all the time. Possums, skunks, raccoons, and that's how I do it.
You never get sprayed by those skunks?
No. The skunks are really, really scared of sound.
Uh-huh.
Sound makes them freak out. Yeah, if you're just nice and quiet and you go, oh, hey, little skunk, how you doing today? And you just walk over, you throw a little piece of plastic over it. They will just sit there and stare at you and look at you. They act just like a cat. And I just put them in the back of my pickup, run them over to, some place where there's a little river or a brook, and I just open the door and the back of the cage, and they run out.
Gene, I don't know why this is, but you're catching strays on the super text line. You want to hear the stray that you're catching here? Now, somebody just said squirrel guy is high. I don't know, Gene. It wasn't me. Don't shoot the messenger.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I mean, you're a squirrel guy. I think you're a squirrel guy.
I mean, squirrels, skunks, possums.
Well, look,
raccoons.
how about this, Gene? Would you be willing to help my caller out getting that skunk out of there?
Yeah. Well, it depends on how far away he lives. I live in South Nashville. Yeah.
South Nash.
But yeah, I'll bring over my cage and put it out there and throw some food there. I mean, a lot of times you'll get a feral cat. And you just take them and you just release them because you let them live out their life.
Yeah, sure.
There was a place you could take it, and they would actually spay, neuter them, and give them their shots, and then they would clip a little piece off their ear. And so that's that. If you catch the same feral cat, you already know it's been treated.
Well, here we go. I mean, so Gene, I want to make a hit me up. If you don't mind, I mean, it hit me up at matt@murphyshow.com is my email, matt@murphyshow.com.
Okay.
Hit me up and then just say, hey, this is Gene. I'm the skunk trapper. Call yourself the skunk whisperer.
The skunk whisperer. There you go.
And you hit me up, matt@murphyshow.com. And then Alan, if you're still listening, you hit me up at matt@murphyshow.com. Y'all give me your contact info. We're going to make a love connection, a skunk connection, and we'll see if we can't get this skunk situation solved jiffy quick. Who says we just blather on this? Don't you look bored? This is real world stuff here. We're solving problems and advancing humanity late into the week on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk.
9 more minutes.
Just counting them down on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. I love talking about these guys. A direct pay primary care provider, meaning all treatment decisions are made between you and the medical staff of Grace Point, not your insurance company. That's the way to get it done, right? You pay less in that regard. And basic Smart Care plans start at just $69 a month, which includes free office visits, free basic labs, free diagnostics. At Grace Point, no long wait times in the waiting room. They're your primary care provider, treating the entire family from newborns to seniors. Grace Point treats the whole body with comprehensive medical approach, getting to the root of the problem without just treating the symptoms, which is the way that it ought to be. Plus, I love the fact that they have no long wait times, and it's a direct pay environment. You can always go to your insurance company for reimbursement and file for that reimbursement, but no one including the insurance companies, should get in the way between your relationship with your doctor. That's old-fashioned medicine. It is modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. You can't afford it. 599-6868, 599-6868. All right, I'll give you the lowdown on Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton as promised in a moment. Donald J. Trump has written this on Truth Social. I'm on my way back from Texas, and I watched in disbelief as thugs were violently throwing rocks and bricks at ICE officers while they were moving down a roadway in their car and or official vehicle. Tremendous damage was done to these brand new vehicles. I know for a fact that these officers are having a hard time with allowing this to happen, in that it shows such total disrespect for law and order. Therefore, I am directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan to instruct all ICE Homeland Security, and any other law enforcement officer who is on the receiving end of thrown rocks, bricks, or any other form of assault to stop their car and arrest these slime balls using whatever means is necessary to do so. I'm giving total authorization for ICE to protect itself, just like they protect the public. I never want to see a car carrying law enforcement officers attacked again. Authorization immediately granted for arrest and incarceration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's been signing off a lot of his posts with thank you for your attention to this matter. That is the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. So he's basically saying, we're not doing any of this anymore, and good for you. You push back on this garbage and put some of these people in jail, and some of this crap will stop. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr got into a duel this date, 1804. It was the final skirmish of a long conflict between the Democrat Republicans and the Federalists. The conflict, I should say, began in 1791 when Burr won a United States Senate seat from Philip Schuyler, Hamilton's father-in-law. It all culminated on this day. Both men had been involved in duels in the past. Hamilton had been involved in more than a dozen affairs of honor prior to his fatal encounter with Burr. Burr had been involved in his own fair share as well. Most of them involved people just missing, both combatants missing, because it was notoriously difficult to hit anything with those pistols. Well, Burr did. Hamilton died the next day. Burr's political career was finished, as they believed that there was some sort of dishonor in the duel itself. Anyway, on this day, July 11th, 1804. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll see you on Monday. Until then, so long, everybody.